What's up, guys? Welcome to the very first debut episode of the Target Table podcast. Today, joining me on the couch is Blake Robinson and Joshua Wong. We had an absolute blast unpacking all the things to do with partnerships, linking arms with other people, how to market, how to promote, and how to get an app off the ground, functioning, working, and being mass adopted by the market. I hope you do enjoy today's episode as much as I did. Let's dive in. Blake and Josh here from My Drive Hero. Not only just a client that we've worked together with, but you guys are killing it, man. You're out there in the world taking names and painting your logos and everything all over the television, and
because we've got a logo now that we actually like. Thanks to you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, we appreciate it. Look, we're trying. We're working. It's a big mountain to climb.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, we've got a logo now that we're proud of and a brand, so it's going everywhere.
That's it. And thanks so much for being here, guys, because I'm genuinely interested, like the world of apps and design and marketing and what you guys are doing out there in the world. It's fascinating. And I think so many people out there are trying to figure out how do they even step foot into that space, because everyone's bootstrapping it. And everyone's like, how the hell do you make this work? How do you raise capital? How do you create partnerships? Yeah. And how the hell do you develop an app like what you guys have created? So I guess we could dive in and maybe just unpack a little bit about what you guys are doing, a little bit of the story and how you guys ended up here.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, like, I would say the thing that I always talk about when it comes to this is having a great team, So, Blake and I are here, but we have a founder and principal investor who sits behind the scenes for a lot of the stuff, but he's probably one of the, best blokes you'll ever meet. He's just committed to his biggest thing that he wants to do in his life is just help people and help change the world. So,
which is really rare in business.
100%.
A lot of people say that, but it's genuinely rare.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and he's the type of person, like, it doesn't matter what's going on, like, with the business. He cares more about how you Daniel, how's life? How's your wife? How's your kids? How's this going on? And that's what he cares about more than just like, how many people do we bring in, or how's this going and how that's going. And so that's
so probably. Did you know him before the business, or did he come in and invest into the idea?
He's the founder.
Right.
So his name's Rick Mark, an absolute legend. About 5-6 years ago, he was working on a mine site, and there was a young lady that unfortunately was using her phone and drove right under a 20-30 ton mining truck.
Christ.
Squish.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, "This has to change. Something needs to change. I'm going to come up with an idea." And he got something developed, and it was actually a little device that was going to block phones. And the Australian government said, "No, that's weaponry. You can't build that." So, like, when we talk
wait, before you move on, so did he come up with that and engineer it?
Yeah, overseas.
Fully got the prototype made, got it shipped back into Australia, wanted to mass produce it, wanted to get that license, and they were like, "Nah, you can't be doing this."
Yeah.
So did he roll it out and use it, and then wow, that's crazy.
That's how far it got. And then it was like, okay, well, what do I do now? So when we talk about My Drive Hero goes back to really early day failures.
Yeah.
So now he proceeded to go, I need an app. Maybe
Yeah.
I go down the app route. And he tried some things, and an app company actually at the time just failed him. Absolutely failed him. And then
Like he invested into the app and then it didn't really.
Yeah.
We hear that all the time. Like people try to start apps and it just kind of goes nowhere, and it's a bit of a nightmare.
I think from the app side of things, it is a fickle business, and there's a lot of people out there that sell they can build them, but there's building an app and there's strategizing an app, and there's thinking about more than, if I just build this, will it work? What is the customer experience? What is the journey? How do we keep them in there? How do we make them feel loved? How do we make them open that app every single day? Because I'd say it's probably fair to say most people only have about 8 to 10 apps they use on a daily basis in their life, and every other app is going in the bin. And right now in Australia, 52% of utility apps get deleted in the first 30 days.
Wow.
So that's more than half.
Yeah, because I remember, I don't know when exactly it was, maybe 2008 was when everyone was downloading apps. It was a big thing. And I remember having my Samsung at the time, and I had like 50 apps on my phone. The more I had, the better I felt. And then I realized I don't use any of these, and I started culling them. But would you say that there was kind of like a meteoric rise in the app market and then it plateaued and fizzled? Like, what's your opinion on where the app market is?
No, I'd say there's always ebbs and flows, and I'd just say it goes from like industry to industry. There was a big games pop back before. I think like your TikTok, your Facebook, and that were also addicting. I feel like when you think about Candy Crush, Angry Birds, TikTok wasn't really around. There wasn't Reels. There wasn't all of these 15-second video absorption apps that are hooking people to their phone. So I think the fun thing to pass time was to play those games, where now I don't see games as big. It's still a huge market, of course.
But that was like the main thing
But
people
that
were
was the
doing
main
their
thing.
phone.
Yeah,
Because I remember I
100%.
played a lot of Angry Birds and kids were doing a lot of that. Whereas now it seems like 13-year-olds are more interested
On TikTok.
in socializing and taking
Well, I think
videos.
it's also because like it took social a while to get. Like, do you remember you were still like using Facebook, but like through a browser? You're
Yeah,
using
yeah,
Messenger
yeah.
and stuff through that. Whereas the games were just optimized for the phone. The games
Yeah.
were like there; they were already ready to go. People were jumping in and doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as
Plus
soon as-
data wasn't fast enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be waiting for ages for the message to load, and you're like, and things like that. But now, like, social's kind of caught up. So, and I think, we really believe that social is going to be the main thing that's going to get us over the line as well. Like, really bringing in that community. That's why, we're so grateful to you guys for having a brand that we can stand behind and we believe in and things like that. Because that is really like why you get on your phone nowadays. It's to text, it's to calls, to, or to watch videos of other people doing hectic stuff. It's not really
Yeah.
as much just to play those games that you used to.
Yeah. Would you say that like the app market now is more looking around? I guess I've noticed a lot of stuff in the health space seems to be a bit of a thing at the moment. But what you guys are doing is quite interesting because you're tracking how someone drives
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you're rewarding them based on their performance driving.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are integrating other technology systems, like for example, putting something on the dash so you can tell how like aggressive someone takes a corner and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like with an app that I guess is involved when someone's driving,
Yeah.
like was there anything else in the market around what you guys were doing when you launched this?
Not so much launch. There's been a couple of companies come and go that have failed. Samsung had their crack with their safety app. Amy had a crack with the safety app. There's been a couple of other
I know
companies. that-
Yui had one when I worked there.
They had a crack with it, but the problem was they weren't thinking big enough. It was like, we do insurance, as an example.
Yeah.
Let's give them just discounted insurance, and that will keep them in the app. Not
Right.
even close.
Yeah.
Like the biggest thing we're doing is trying to find every product for every single person that they spend on a daily basis, weekly or monthly, that they will go, I need to drive safe because that's going to save me money in all of these sectors I spend money in, and keep them engaged.
It's more every day. It's more relevant.
It's more
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
insurance is great. It'll be a big part of our business.
Yeah.
And we are speaking to some.
But every time you're driving, you're not
insurance
thinking
companies.
about, I've got to save on my insurance policy.
No.
Well, the carrot
Yeah.
has to be bigger than the stick.
Yeah,
I think the thing is when you're doing it like the way that they've done it, exactly what Blake's saying, like if the carrot's still just like one aspect or one segment or one this and that, like if I said if you did 10 trips a month, you get cheaper insurance, you're only going to log 10 trips with those guys and then you're going to peace out and be like, yeah, I'm all good. It's everything else is fine.
Right.
You've
But
gotta
the thing
keep
is,
them on the wheel, right?
Exactly.
You've gotta keep them coming around. And just to dive back into the app side of things, that is where we're really focusing right now in the business is, okay, they drive for maybe an average drives 92 minutes a day across the country. What about the rest of the 22 and a half hours? What are we doing? We're looking to bring in a game in the app where it actually is going to educate people on safe driving, but in a very fun way.
Cool. So when they're not driving, they can
Yeah.
actually earn
Exactly,
points.
yeah.
And then
That's
they-
very
Yeah.
cool.
yeah.
Like, it's not going to be boring, but it is going to be educational because
Yeah.
we don't want to just take away. It's just got to be fun. It's still got to make people better because too many people are dying on the roads.
Yeah.
So is that how you define utility app? Is it like all those extra?
Not so much games, like utility apps. And the only reason we know this is because when we had a really big pot, we were 5th in the country in utilities and we're right between Optus and Telstra.
Yeah, it was
and it was one of the
wild.
best
We were
days.
like,
It was like, oh, here we are. And it wasn't my drive here at the time, unfortunately. And right now we're trending to be in that top 100 again in the next month.
In the
just
utility
by-
space. Wow.
In the utility space. So
Yeah.
your utility apps are your Optuses, your Google authenticators, all of those.
Is it like
They're
defined
all
as like, people use it as it's like when you think of Optus and Telstra, it's utility because it's related to a bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that-
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
You guys watching, write it in the comments.
Yeah, we'll
What's
find out. Find out.
What
Okay,
is the
so
exact...
So just to dive in, so the app, I guess, essentially it's to track your driving and then you reward people based on their efforts.
Yep.
You're driving a positive message behind it, but you're being purely optimistic. You're not
Yep.
Yeah.
bludgeoning people with like, oh, you drove horribly today, like
Zero
how dare you.
negativity.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
zero negativity.
Yeah.
And we learned that in our first about 8 months. We had zeros in the app. You could get a zero.
Yeah.
And we found it ignited the same emotion that someone getting a fine, the police,
Whoa.
reading the negative messaging on highways like police will catch you if you do this. We felt that real negative emotion come out of people. We went, nah.
Was
this
that from the
isn't right.
feedback? Or
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
From
Yeah.
the feedback.
What
Yeah,
was
so-
the kind of feedback that gave you the sense of, okay, we're punishing people?
How dare you tell me I speed? How dare you give me a zero? I didn't speed. I'm not that bad. I've never got a fine.
Yeah.
And we've got to think about COVID. We've got to think about how tough life is. Interest
Right.
rates. Things are more expensive. People are stressed, and they
Yeah.
don't need any more negativity in their life. So if we can take something that has quite a negative feeling around it, all you readers, more deaths, more deaths, more deaths, more deaths.
Yeah.
Don't
We
get
want-
caught, things like that as
Yeah.
well.
Which is
want-
the interesting thing because a lot of times people are like, this is a serious topic. I have to be serious. And in order to be trusted, I need to align with that. And what you guys have done essentially is inverted that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing that like I always talk about when it comes to what we're trying to do is like, you don't get rewarded for doing the right thing. Yeah. Like nobody goes, "Oi, Dane, man, you didn't speed that whole trip. Thanks so much." You know, nobody cares. It's only if you do the wrong thing. It's like fines, you get in trouble, you lose your license and things like that. So really, like that's our biggest thing is like when you do the right thing, there's our app sitting there going, "Hey, mate, you did a good drive today. Thanks. Here's some points. You know, go get a discount and stuff like that." And with just to round back to those zeros. People who download the app, they're already interested. You know, they want to do better, or they want to know how they're going. So then we found they've already like kind of letting us in that little step in their lives, and then they're like, we just shut them down with a zero. They're like, oh, yeah.
It's pretty negative, right?
Yeah.
It's not a nice feeling.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna uninstall
Dave,
this.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it was.
You're telling me I'm a zero. And I think with the demographics changing, it is a more defensive, age bracket coming up, and we don't want them to feel like that.
Because it's such a personal thing. Like you driving, you don't want to feel like someone's looking at your performance and critiquing you and tracking it. You don't know where the data's going. I know you guys have a lot of privacy and security around that, but like again, people are still hyper conscious about it.
Yeah.
So with the app, like what drives my curiosity is how are you even able to get that into the market to get people to start adopting it in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the technology that was weaponizing.
The military standard.
How did you go from that
Thanks so
to the
much,
app,
Steve.
you know? What did Rick do after that? He was obviously told you can't get a license for this.
Yeah.
But he was passionate about solving the problem because of what he experienced. And then what was to come after that?
So he brought on a executive team at the time that was a part of the team that actually hired us.
Yeah.
And then things didn't work out with that team. And me and Josh were there at the time. We were the most passionate about it. And we just knew between us we could figure this out. And we had all the ideas. And we were just so passionate about it. So, and I think passion trumps everything every day of the week.
Yeah.
So we just essentially went head down, bum up. I think for about 4 months straight, we did 14 to 16 hour days, 7 days a week. I don't think I saw anyone I knew to just essentially turn the business around from where it was initially heading with bad planning to go, all right, the app may have been built, but we haven't thought about the customer. We haven't thought about the community. We haven't thought about what is going to make them stay, feel loved, tell their friends about it, make their families drive it so we can actually drive this death toll down.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started to come together. And at the time we knew it was speed, distraction and fatigue because that caters about 70% of deaths on the road, the three biggest killers. They're going to be the three things we track. Anything else we can add it maybe down the track, but let's be good and perfect at the main ones.
Yeah, let's at least nail the good ones or the big ones that are the most important and then
then work around.
circle out from there. Yeah.
And then I love telling this story because this just shows how far we've come and how humble of a beginning it was. We launched the app with no rewards marketplace in it. It was purely just the tracking and that was it. And we just told people the rewards are coming soon. Please start acquiring your points, do the right thing, read your data, check it all out. You'll get to use those points soon.
Wow.
And it worked. And
Without any promise of what that would be?
No, nothing. It was
Did
just,
it have an idea of how many points equated to
No, it was
dollars?
nothing. It was just, here's your points, here's a safety score, and we'll let you know what that means in 3-4 months from now. And people were still downloading, they were still doing trips. And I think also, something that we always talk about is don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. So we could have waited those 3 and 4 months and been like, okay, we'll wait for the marketplace, wait for this, wait for that. But really when it comes down to it, we wanted to get people in the app because we wanted to find out, do people actually care about this whole safety score, gamification points?
Okay, so even so many people in business try to be perfect before they go live. Yeah. And you're just saying, just go for it.
Yeah, 100%.
We just went in there and we went, we'll figure it out as we go. And people were coming in the app. Trips were stacking up. Kilometers were stacking up. We were able to also find the holes in the app as well, in the formula, in the code, the safety score. We're able to figure that zero
People
thing
giving
out.
you feedback, telling you they got bugs on their phones and stuff. Were you finding that when you were about to go live with, would you call it like a beta test or something like that? Or?
Minimal viable product.
Okay.
Is essentially the app.
How do you launch an app? Like what do you think about? What's the first thing you do? What happens in that situation?
Dive into launch a little bit.
So it's on the store. People can download it.
Yeah.
Like how do you build awareness around it? How do you get people to download it?
Just meta to start. It was just pure meta. Like at the start, it was like, let's get a meta campaign out. And when you're really new, meta is, in my opinion, the biggest pool. And until that dries up, you don't need to experiment too hard at the start. You're a start company, you're an MVP, capital's limited, you've got to be smart with your spending. And it was like, we can go to Meta and get people in the app. And I think because of the business that it is, It's unique. It's enticing. It's like all I have to do is just press a start button each day and I'm going to get discounts on my everyday expenses.
Wow.
Oh, amazing. Even though we didn't have it there and then, we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And people are, I've got to check this out. It's intriguing. It's intriguing.
How many people were finding it through like the internet and social channels and things like that compared to maybe people telling their friends about the app?
I'd say our referral rate's been about 25% roughly about that.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah.
It's huge. And especially when the news thing happened. When the news thing happened, that's really popped us off into another level.
So were you on the news before you started to do the...
I'll come back a bit.
Okay.
So the next thing we did with the app was like, we need rewards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
But the development to get the actual inventory built into the app is a lot more complex than it looks like. Like it looks like, oh, cool, you guys upload a couple of vouchers, I can redeem them in there.
Gotcha.
That development in the back end is actually pretty big when you take into your own customer portal in the background. You got to apply those vouchers. You got to make sure they're all separate. They're one-time use codes, and then it feeds through to the app. And me and Josh sat there one day and we go, how do we get this out faster? Because the timeline for it was not quick.
Like people redeeming their points was too difficult?
Getting it all built so we could have it in the app really efficiently, like
I
you
see.
see today.
Yeah.
So we built a Shopify store that was all black, that looked like the app, and we linked a website to the rewards marketplace. People would order the vouchers through to the Shopify store through the app, and we would go on one by one.
And deduct the points manually. We would send the e-gift cards manually. It was like fully...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we even had to upload, like, even with the...
Because you guys had a lot of users. Like, how many users did you have when this was happening?
At the time, it was only between 300 to 2,000
Okay.
through that window. But when
Yeah.
it started to get up to the 2,000 mark, it was like, oh, this is coming through pretty quick. Me and Josh were like 8 p.m. to like 2 a.m. every night was when we did the rewards.
We
So
take
how did you figure out, okay, we'll get a quick fix. It does work. We're just going to build a Shopify, plug it in, integrate everything.
I mean...
By building it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
By just building it. That's the thing, like Josh said before, this whole perfection, progress. It's just go for progress.
Okay.
People are not going to be mad at you if something doesn't work perfectly, but we've got to get value to people, and value is what makes people stay. So it was always our thinking, even today, is how do we keep injecting more value to our community?
Yeah.
And
so the value just keeps stacking.
Yeah.
You know, things weren't perfect. You still needed to do some branding at that point, but you're like, it's working. People are using it. They're redeeming points. We found a funny way to do it.
Yeah.
And then we got on the news with the Shopify store. So Daily Telegraph reached out and was like, oh, I just had one of my colleagues. They redeemed a gift voucher through your app. Is this something that's going to be around for a long time? And we said, absolutely, forever.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing I think it was like a cost of living piece.
Okay.
Could we do something on you? And we said, yeah. And I was like to Josh, oh my God, I'd love to put this back like 3 to 4 months just till everything was perfect. And then it was like, nah, let's get it out.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, that went out. Then 9 called the next day, 7 News called, and bang, it just essentially popped us off into the right direction. And then the new rewards marketplace came about a month later.
We were doing like our morning huddle, and then like Blake's like, I could get this call. And he answered, and he was like, it's night. And then 7 News called me, and so I'm in Brisbane doing 7 News nationally. He's in Melbourne doing 9 News nationally. Same day, we're like shaving and everything, making sure we look like
trying to get there in time. Like, hey, can we do it today at 1:30? Because 9 News 7 was calling, 7 News 9 was calling. We need to get there ASAP and beat them.
Well, you didn't shave for us, did you?
I just grow too fast. It's getting old.
We're all looking a bit scruffy. That's all right.
It's pub chat.
Well, so then what happened with the Shopify store and all that publicity?
It was wild, yeah. Like we went, like Blake was saying, 302,000 users. Then we got what, 4,000.
So on the night between 7:30 p.m. till about midnight, we jumped 4,000, and we had to upgrade our servers because it was like everything was starting to run pretty slow.
Yeah.
And then the following 48 hours, it ran again for about another 6,000.
Whoa.
And then from that day, just having that content to recycle on socials is just social proof.
Yeah.
It was people just see news, hear the brand. Wow, this is pretty cool. I may as well try it. So it helped us massively.
A massive shout out to one of our users,
Samantha
yeah.
Sharp, legend. She was super active, very good on our socials, always posting positive stuff. And they asked, can we speak to one of your users? And I gave her a call, and she said, I'd love to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
And met me at this random suburb, kind of between my suburb and her suburb. And we just did the shoot on the side of a street on a rainy day. And she was lovely. So,
Yeah. And you guys are quite engaged with your community as well. Like I saw a video recently, someone won a car.
Yeah, Timmy. Yeah, I mean,
That guy looks stoked, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
might be able to pull it up.
He's a
Yeah.
legend.
yeah, we've been real lucky. I think, going kind of circling back to what Blake was saying about we have such a high referral rate.
Yeah.
It is because people driving's such an important thing. Like most people have to drive every day. When you're driving well, or everyone knows that there's a bad driver in their friendship group. Oh, don't ride with Johnny. He's a bit of a bad driver. It's a bit hectic and things like that. So people tend to talk about us a bit more. When they get involved in the app, they go, "Oh man, I got this, I got that." And so Sam, Timmy, we have a whole bunch of really good users that are just keen on they feel good when they use the app, and then on top of that, they get some rewards and get discounts and win a car.
It's also so important because we need those users, and it's happening this morning, funny enough, to combat the negative. Like I said before, the world is in a state of stress and people are feeling quite down. And if you look at one of our top TikTok videos of the video of me giving the car to Timmy, such a lovely video. He's just got a brand new car worth 20 grand and people are commenting on it, but it's only an MG, it's only an MG, it's only an MG, it's only an MG. It's
still a car.
It's brand new.
He won it for keeping all of our friends, family and loved ones safer on the road.
Yeah.
That's how he won a free car. If you didn't like it, sell it, 20 grand.
Yeah. But that's the internet, man.
That is the
people-
internet. That's
people-
why positive
All right.
community is so important because they will combat the negative.
Here we go. It's pretty cool, man. I'd happily win an MG.
How pumped is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was more pumped. Honestly, giving that away was one of the best experiences of my life.
Congratulations, mate.
This is insane.
You're our first winner.
I can't believe it's in my driveway.
How does it feel?
I can't even explain it. This is nuts. How often do you win a new car, man?
I don't know. I've never won a
Absolute legend. I think he's got a newer car than me.
Let's go. Have a look at it.
Mate, thank you so much. I can't believe this is happening. This is insane. It looks so new.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We're
Oh
so
my
proud
god.
to give it to you.
I've never had anything this new in my life.
How long have you been using the My Drive Hero app?
Well, I started using it late last year, so maybe 5-6 months.
Yeah.
But I never thought something like this would happen out of it. It's crazy.
We're doing another car giveaway soon. Are you going to go in it and
Oh,
try and
why
win
not?
too?
I'll win my missus one. Why not? Imagine that.
So,
With this, so it's fascinating how you're able to do a deal like even working with MG in the first place. But going back to when you started to add rewards into the app, who were the first partners that came on board, and how did you even land it?
There's another good story about using the gift cards. Do you want to?
So the gift cards were a play that we brought on. It was a very expensive, task, but it was strategic. We knew getting partners on board. What partners do we go for? There's so many brands out there. What do people actually want? Let's get data. So we did a partnership with a gift card company, which is essentially 200 plus stores, and we offered that as the product. So 600 points got you $10, and then 2,400 or 2,600 got you.
So you kind of got
$50
access to a lot of stores.
Yeah,
through
before
one
we
partner.
actually had the chats with the brands, we just go with the e-gift cards. We get to see the data and see what people are doing.
Yeah, and we got that out to people, and that's what people were getting. So they were claiming on the little Shopify store, and we were pinging out the gift card on the platform out to people, and from that, it got people rewards from the get-go. That was one of the biggest reasons we got the news segment, because if there were no value, you weren't going on anything people weren't redeeming. But the biggest thing we got from it was the data on what do people spend their gift card on, where are they actually going, where are they
Right, okay.
converting it to?
People are winning their points, converting them into these gift cards.
Yep.
Where are they spending the money?
Where
though?
they're
Yeah.
going, Coles, they're going to Woolies, they're going to grocery stores, they're going to Catch.com.
Oh, like the essentials.
Yeah.
And we got all of our percentages, and we knew, okay, great. So we know the biggest targets we need for this business, groceries, fuel, I think that's quite obvious. But then next it was things like Catch.com, extremely popular. And we were like, this is great. This is giving us our target. And it was also keeping people happy. It was also keeping us growing. And then once the partners started to tip, we started to bring the gift cards away, which was really interesting because the gift cards brought a lot of positive, but they brought a lot of negative with it too. And it's negative we did not foresee. And it was probably one of our biggest hurdles because we only had a particular budget for every single month.
Right,
on the
okay.
gift
Of how
cards.
many you could spend
Yeah.
How much
from
we
the
could
company.
spend,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we get messages all the time. Why didn't you give people PayPal money? That'd be great, but where does it come from?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do we?
I'd love to do that,
Yeah.
but until a government is partnering with us and we got a massive budget, we can't do that. The gift cards started running out very fast. It was
So just a question with the gift cards, did the company kind of sponsor and give those to you, or did you buy them from the
Yeah,
company?
so we were just buying them directly from them. And
Yeah.
so like we had a budget of X amount per month. But the thing is, we're growing by thousands of users a month. We're spending that money X amount per gift cards. And then people are starting to we start just to sell out all the time and people will jump in then. And then, you you're thinking that you're going to get an e-gift card, it's sold out, and then you delete the app. That was probably one of the biggest hurdles we had to overcome.
So
So we
people
had a
weren't able to
scaling issue.
redeem their points,
Yeah.
and then you lost trust with those people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we got to try and start again. So we started with the Christmas giveaway. It was probably one of the biggest things that
Yeah. The Christmas giveaway was something Josh really wanted to do, and it was great, and it went amazingly because people were able to win a nice bit of cash before Christmas, and it's a tough time of year for a lot of people. And we went, oh, this worked. Now, there's a couple of big businesses in Australia that do giveaways that are very, very successful. And we sat down, it was, I think January 8th or 9th this year was the first Monday back to work.
Yeah.
We released it. We released the monthly gift cards on that day when everyone was back at work, not on holidays.
Okay.
Sold out in 48 hours.
Wow.
Bang, all the budget for the gift cards gone. We have a serious scaling issue right now.
So that was for a whole month, and then you
yeah, 48
That was
hours, and we were
48 hours
like,
gone. Gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It was
and the
like-
budget came from like the money that the app was generating, and then you're investing that back
Yeah.
into the rewards.
And predominantly, it's still an early startup. You do run off runway. You're running off investment. You're running off capital. And back then, we only had one revenue stream built. We now have 5.
Yeah.
But back then, this is investment. This is about building. Revenue streams will come in, and then it will kick.
Was there in that moment of panic where you're like, we need to get capital, we need to get a loan? Like, where was your head at? What were you thinking?
We had capital. We had
Yeah.
a very comfortable runway at that point.
Okay.
And we're lucky we have a
But
great
still a
founder
budget.
and lead investor. But
Yeah,
it's a
it's still
budget.
budget,
This
yeah.
is all we're giving to this, and it just means we need to figure something out. And
Yeah.
I think the best things in life come from crisis. If you actually sit there and go, all right, I'm going to innovate. I'm going to come up with something exciting here. We went giveaways.
Yeah.
And I was watching a podcast about giveaways in Australia and the market, and bang, sat down with Josh. I went, your idea went great at Christmas. This is our new business model, right? And we sat down and we came up with what we're going to do, what was going to be the first ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the biggest thing I'd say is when we had that pivot point, it was really Blake he spent a bit of time by himself. He came back and he said, oi boys, we actually really need to jump on this, because there was 1,000,001 different things we could have tried. We could have tried we did trial actually a couple other things. We tried just like a daily budget, 2, 3, 4, 50, 30, 100 gift cards per day, but then they would sell out in 10 minutes, and then still you got Blake made a very good point. I still remember he'd be like, that's still 23 hours and 50 minutes and nobody gets a gift card.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
23 hours, 50 minutes. People are sitting in the app waiting for it to load again. And so with the giveaways, what it allows us to do is have more people jump in. And when you win, it's not just a $10 gift card. It's like, a new car, it's $1,000, it's $500 and things like that. So when you actually win, it changes your life for a greater percentage of time than just $10 for your weekly shop.
Yeah.
And it's extremely marketable. Like marketing a $10 or $5 gift card to people.
Not very
is-
exciting.
Yeah.
You've got a video of a top bloke like that having his life changed.
Yeah.
It's incredible for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just the person winning. For us, we wake up every day going, oh my God, I get to do this every day. Like, amazing. Don't get me wrong, we're not giving a car away every day. But yeah, we will be soon.
Yeah, that's the goal.
But I guess that pivot, it did come with challenges. That's a lot of change in the business. People are obviously annoyed because they just want to get their $5 and $10. But from that, we got to see what is the demographic we really need in the app? Who do we want in the app? Because we've still got so many users from that period who stayed with us and went, I understood that was promotional. And now you've got all these great partnerships and you've got cars and stuff. And then we saw people just bail
Yeah. Yeah.
as well.
So the people that were jumping in for the exciting opportunity would leave the app afterward?
Yeah, I think what happened was with the e-gift card, some people would just be like, oh, there's no point doing this. I just want to get my $10 e-gift card and stuff like that. Whereas the way that we see it is really the big reward is the fact that you're driving safe and you're saving lives.
Yeah.
Everything else that we do on top of that helps with your daily budget, helps with your weekly shop and things like that, helps you win a car. But really at the end of the day, that's our goal. Our goal is to positively impact 10 million lives through all the various things that we do, not just through a $10 gift card.
Yeah.
And what we found with a lot of those people as well was they were using that and they weren't going and spending it at various other places. They were just redeeming that $10 e-gift card and that's it. That's all they're going to do. So we really need to kind of be serious about what we did after that and really kind
Because
of
look, we're a
consolidate.
business at the end of the day. We have to make money.
Yeah.
And to save more lives, we've got to make lots of money. And we've got to be really selfish to be selfless.
Yeah.
We can't just give, because it will all be over and no one's any more safer on the road. So
And that's the big thing in business, because I'm always talking about that to people. Some people I meet, they're all about the money. Other people I meet, they're all about, trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And you got to find that happy medium.
It's a balancing act every
It's a
time.
balancing
Yeah.
act, right? You got to know, like, at what point is my business going to generate enough cash flow to actually fulfill the mission I want to do?
Yeah.
You can't. It's almost like you can't go straight to mission.
Yeah.
You kind of have to get the cap. Would you say you'd have to get the capital first,
Yep.
and then
Yeah.
trickle the mission as best you can
Yep.
with the tools you have, and then increase that over time?
definitely.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, we want every single person in the country driving with the app. We want every single person that's driving a car with the app, but we have to go, especially when you're climbing the ladder of business, what demographic are we going for first? And what is it in line exactly with the purpose, or do we have to target more revenue first, then we can fulfill the mission, like you just said?
Yeah.
And it has been that. The gift cards brought, I guess, people that really, really needed that to get by, and we want to help them as much as we can, but we do need people that are also going to generate us revenue so we can add new features, have more people in the app, give you better rewards, give away properties, give away $200,000 cars, give away things that are super exciting. So we had to go, what demographic is going to need the app? They're really going to love the discounts. They're going to use the rewards. They're going to, I guess, engage with our partners and also subscribe to premium, buy our boosters, generate revenue, but also essentially still be the purpose that we're trying to target.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that won't always be everyone, but you
Yeah.
guys are maybe honing in on who that person is.
Yeah. 100%.
From your experience, like, what are you finding that person is the one that does care about the rewards, but also like likes the cause and the mission of the brand?
There's
as
a
well?
few, but I'd say probably the biggest one, it's families.
Okay.
It's families, families care because you have kids, they're
Yeah.
going to be driving soon, they're going to be thinking about that. So you want to be able to set a good example for them, but also know that the roads are safer for them.
Yeah.
And they also have a little bit of extra cash to be able to spend on things like this. And they don't, because they've got all these other things going on in their lives, it is just, I'm going to use the app. It's good for me. It's a good bit of fun. If we win, we win. If we don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're still strategic. They'll
Yeah.
go, okay, if I spend $100 on their subscription for the year, my chances go up by 3 of winning these $150 every week.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Not, why would I spend money with you? Give me my gift card. It's like, no, we need that kind of strategic person. And we learned something really cool from a business about 6-7 months ago. There's a company called Blossom, essentially investment platform. You get 4 to 5% income, I think, per annum. It's using bond yields. They did a huge pivot in their brand to go females because they were finding that women were being more strategic. Like, I don't need like a bloke go on Sportsbet, try and make 800% in one bet overnight. If I do 4 to 5% per annum over 10 years, that's compounded. That's amazing. So they changed their business to really target females. And what we're seeing right now is consistency increase in women. We do have a lot of mums in the app. We have been in a lot of like single mum groups, budget with mum groups, and we've picked up those users. They're always positive. They're always engaging with our socials. We see their names every week, redeeming discounts, going in the giveaways, and we're just finding that right now is a really solid core of our business who is going to be the best part of the community.
Yeah. So just like maybe circling around different parts of your audience and just, it sounds like you're almost like tissue testing different concepts, different things, seeing the reaction, reading that. And in business, it's so important to kind of always have your eyes peeled to pivot into things quickly.
Yeah, 100%.
Because even me, like when we started this agency, I was doing content creation predominantly as our main service offering. But what I was finding was it was incredibly detail-oriented, time-consuming, and we were doing rounds and rounds and rounds of revisions to get a client to sign off on that month's worth of content.
Yeah.
It was very like time-consuming. And then we identified that the ones that were creating the content were also struggling with like, what's our color palette? What fonts do we use? What do we do with our logos? And I realized that that's actually a bigger problem than the content creation piece. And we started offering those services and pivoted our entire agency into offering that thing. And literally sent emails out to all our content creation clients and said, we're not doing content anymore. So we literally waved goodbye to 6 figures of secure 12-month contract income to just go out there and pirate every month to try to get like
That's backing yourself.
backing yourself,
That is fully
which
going
was
for it.
scary.
Yeah.
Which was scary. We fully went for it. Jared was here in the heat of that, and I think it was the best thing
I've
ever.
got
It was,
grey hair.
yeah, it was,
What was that like? Yeah,
was
what was
less
that
grey.
like?
I'm 25 years old, by the way.
Yeah, and I've got a few grays now. But the exciting thing was like it was more fun, it was more fulfilling. We had more passion. The team were way more like ecstatic every day to work on projects. People weren't like, oh, here we go, more content.
Yeah.
I guess the point is like in business, you have to kind of have the ability to just go, maybe this isn't working the way I want it to work.
Yep.
So rather than trying to force the customers to do what I want, I have to adapt to the market.
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys are doing a lot of that where you're constantly trying to adapt yourself to what's happening with the platform, how people are using it.
Yeah, 100%. I think probably the big thing that we really pride ourselves on is we go off the data when it comes to that.
Yeah.
You know, we don't like we have things that we really want to happen and things that we really want to implement. But if the data's not saying it, we have no ego about letting it go.
100%.
We never sit there and go, oh, I really, really want that to happen. You know, like I might tell Blake, I don't see this happening. You know, I don't see the people aren't going for it. They're not doing this. And never once has he been like, oh, but nah, they will.
Would you say that's like the core of how to succeed in building an app? Because, you know, everyone I know that for the most part that builds an app, they're kind of more of a logical engineer kind of minded person.
Yeah.
Would you say that like maybe the X factor in developing an app is just not focusing too much on the function, but just really focusing on how is this actually engaging with people? What's the experience? It sounds like you guys are a lot more brand centric, user eccentric than you are thinking about like the logistics and the programming, the
100%.
data, you know, just making things work. And as long as people are enjoying it and having a good reaction,
Spot on.
yeah.
Spot on. It's got to be community.
Yeah.
It's like you're in there. If you don't like a house, are you going to stay in that house? No, you're going to try and move to a new house. So I'm thinking about if they're in there, what's keeping them in there? What's making them tell their friends about it? Inviting their friends over. So everything is about the user experience. Because a lot of app developers, like a typical developer, can develop anything. But how much thought has gone into what it's like inside for the person and each individual and all the different demographics in the world and how do people view things, how do people find things easy. Look at Amazon, right? You order something on Amazon, bang, one click, it's at your house the next day. That's why they're so big. Convenience is key. So we're really trying to target convenience, target fun, gamification, what makes you want to stay in this app. Safety can be quite boring and we've been preached it forever, right?
Yeah.
You should be safe, you should be safe, you should be safe.
Yeah, it almost gets ignored after a certain amount of time. Like whenever the ads come on telly, I'm like, you know, look at my phone or whatever. So
For sure. And
Yeah,
look, this
100%.
might be controversial, but I've said this since the start of time and I still believe it with this business. I don't mind if you're in the app and you personally want to create a safer place because you've had this pitch to you the whole life that you should be this.
Yeah.
If that's not you, that's fine. All I care is that you enjoy the rewards and the experience and you care about your bottom line. You want discounts, you want to win cars, you want to win fuel, whatever it is you want to win. And if you're doing that selfishly, you are being selfless because you are driving safer to acquire that.
Yeah, they're fulfilling the mission anyways.
Exactly.
Whether they're invested in the mission or they're a part of it, it still fulfills the mission.
I'm not telling them
of
which
safe
route
driving.
to take.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is the destination. Get there however you want.
Yeah.
And then we're all going to be successful by it. We're all going to save lives. Our friends and loved ones are all going to be in a better spot because of it. So instead of trying to change their mindset, give them what they want and they'll get there anyway.
Would you say that that's a lesson in ego or awareness? Like how would you, because we've had conversations about this in the past. It's quite interesting because a lot of people get caught up on the details.
Yeah.
They should be this way. And it's like,
I learned something from you when we went through this rebrand and it was founders need to get out of their own way. And I think it was either on Instagram or you said it to us as well. And I would say we're both not egotistical people, but I think as things rise and more successes come, people can lose themselves and think they're an elitist or they're at the top, so it's their way or the highway. And like Josh said, we leave it out the door and it's what is going to get us the outcome. And if it's none of the ways we think of, how do we get the smarter people in the room to think of it as well? So yes, I think it's ego and awareness.
Yeah, so you didn't have, like from what you're telling me, an ego about the Shopify thing, about you know the cards and the downside of that. It seems like this is working for now. It's not perfect.
Yep.
You're not getting caught up in the details and feeling like you need to beat yourself up. You're like, hey man, we're out here giving it a good crack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's kind of the mindset one would need to have if they're going to build an app?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it's so feedback oriented.
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous amount of self-belief too, I think also comes into it. Like Blake and I, like we really do believe that anytime we can just go, okay, this isn't working, what do we do next?
Yeah.
I never I don't have any doubt in his ability to be able to read that and we can just figure it out together. I think that's probably a big part of it as well. When you're building an app is just having that self-belief that I'm going to give this a go. And if we're going to, evaluate the data 2 weeks, a month, however long from now, and if it's not working, we're just going to pivot.
Yeah.
Not being like, oh, if it doesn't work, we've wasted. Because we never talk about wasting. You know, somebody could go, oh, the e-gift cards you kind of did waste, but it's like, no, we never talk about it in that way. It's like, no, this worked for us for now. What are we doing next?
Right.
You know, so I think that's a big
Every
thing
part
about
in
it.
business is like a book. It's a chapter. Chapters end, and the next one comes. And
Exactly.
yeah, there were definitely times really early on when we had that scaling issue for the first couple of days. You know, I'm sure there's people going to be watching this that are starting business or thinking about it. People never talk about enough those nights where they do hit you and you're like, shit, was that a bad decision? Like,
What's going to happen?
okay, and then snap yourself out of it quick, fail fast,
Yeah.
and then go, what can we now do to fix that and start innovating? So yeah, I definitely think it's awareness. I think it's losing the ego, and it's just giving stuff a crack.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Give it a crack.
So with it, like inside the team, I imagine there's been plenty of stressful moments, like the 48-hour thing, sold out. What's it like inside the company when you sit down, you're like, this has happened. Do you guys collaborate with your crew to try to come up with an idea to pivot out of it? Like, how do you guys operate as a crew to tackle these problems as they come up lifetime?
Generally, if that problem as such, like Josh said, I went away for a bit
Yeah.
and came up with a bunch of different options, and then eventually went pros, cons, like I do with everything. It will be a pros and a cons list. And if the pros outweigh the cons, give it a crack, right?
Yeah.
Even if there's a lot of cons.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
It's got to make sense, of course.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting, pretty urgent meeting, sat down, and I remember we were chatting with Rick, and we said, this is where we're pivoting the rewards to, straight off the bat, doesn't make sense to me. And that was probably one of the first times we had like a kind of a
bit of
disagreement.
pushback, yeah.
But the thing with it was I didn't just suggest an idea. I had a plan behind it as well. I had data, I had facts, I had figures, I had everything there.
Right. So you weren't just saying, this is my gut check. You
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
no, I got receipts.
Yeah.
Listen up.
Here's
Yeah.
the numbers, here's the size of the market, here's how quick, here's the pros. Pros being partners take time. You want to try and knock someone down like a Coles or a Woolies inside your app and create a partnership, that thing takes years.
Yeah.
We're currently in negotiations or quite far negotiations, and we've had some verbal agreements with one of the biggest fuel providers in the country for a discount inside of the app, and that has taken now 8 months, and
Wow.
it's still going, and it's really positive. Like, it's really, really positive. It takes ages. So
Would you say it's a trust thing, or do they have their own internal policies and red tape?
Yeah,
layers,
internal
onions,
policies.
these companies
Maybe
just
someone
have
in their
to go
company is pumped to do it.
pumped.
They got to work it through their management.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was chatting to someone else the other day. It takes about 9 months for someone to get a product in Coles because they have to get the barcodes, they have to put it in the system.
And then that person, one job's to do 3 weeks to
Yeah.
do a barcode, and they're quite slow. And me and Josh, we move so fast, and we're always like,
Now.
work till 4 a.m, just get it done.
Yeah.
But I think the pros of that, the giveaway side of things, was we don't rely on anyone for that.
Yeah.
There is no being held back, and that was the biggest thing. Right now, the only thing holding us back is your partners. We know we got the money to acquire users. We know we got the mission. We know we got the vision. We know we got something really unique, something people want, something people need. Partners could be the one thing that holds you back. So how do you get over that hurdle now? Let's do something that is purely, we might do a little partnership with a car giveaway or car company,
Yeah.
or we just buy it. We buy it, we do the giveaway, we make revenue on it.
Yeah.
So it was that for now will see us for the next 1 to 2 years, not relying on anyone while we still tick up our partnerships. And great, it's actually working really well. So we're going to keep it as a business model.
Yeah.
That was one of the big pros is we rely on no one. We can surge ahead at our pace.
And I'd also say, going back to your question, that like we have a very good circle around us. We really believe in having good mentors, having good people that we can talk to. So when we have an idea, it's not just, Blake with the data. It's also Blake with the data. We all take some time to go away. We chat to people that we trust. We chat to our mentors. We all come back with a various amount of opinions. And if the majority of them are saying that actually sounds pretty good and we give them all the data, then we go for it.
Yeah.
It's not just us two. It's not just us two and Rick. It's like there's a whole bunch of people around us that we really trust who've been involved in business, who've succeeded, who've had, failures and stuff like that we all go to find this opinion of what we're going to do
Has
next.
there been moments where you've been excited for an idea, gone to, I guess, your mentors and they're like, nope?
It's more like probably more often than not, it's a
Like an
not right
approach?
now.
Yeah.
It's a not right now. It's like, that's a great idea, but is that something that you can implement now that you really see that you really should be doing?
Like
or is
prioritization.
that yeah, that's definitely something. And something that we're big on is making sure keeping the main thing and keeping what we can do now, this is the stuff and
Yeah.
everything else can we set our priorities. So that's probably been the only thing. We've never had anyone really
That's
say.
the best meeting I think we had. The best meeting we ever had was about a year ago. And we got this advice. Time is your best friend and your worst enemy. And I remember at the time I didn't really take it in. I was like, okay, yeah.
It's like a nice quote.
Yeah,
And
it
you're
was
like,
because
what
like
does that
this was
mean?
quite intense. There was lots going on.
Yeah.
It was just okay, cool. And then it repeated on me. I kept hearing it that night. And I remember ringing Josh going, that's so true. You and I want to tackle the world with all these ideas, but let's structure these ideas because there's only so many hours in the day. And I think that has helped this business so much because, you know, we can do B2B plays. We can do all these different things. And people have said, have you done B2B yet? Have you gone with the government? Have you done this? That all takes time.
Yeah.
We're a small team.
Yeah.
So it's essentially what do we do now that allows us to go to the next rung, to keep climbing that ladder to the point, yes, you've got a bunch of staff, a lot of money, and you can just, you know, outsource and task people.
So when you guys are making these prioritizations, what are you looking for? Because a lot of people in business are like, I got 15 maneuvers in front of me. Which one do I pick? Do you guys have a cadence as to kind of like, these are the things to look for in those situations?
For me, it's a business model. So
Yeah.
I love numbers. I use my Excel spreadsheet for everything when it comes to figuring out what is the LTV, what's the CAC, will that bring us the revenue to get us to a point where we're extremely self-sufficient and comfortable. And with tech, everyone knows tech companies, apps, they take a while to get off the ground. It's not a service. You don't swap your time to get money.
You can't just make cash flow quickly.
Yeah, you can't just
Yeah.
go, I'm going to spend 12 hours on this client, charge them my hourly rate. It's done. It's very different to that. It's a different business model. So early on, like you said, you're trying as much to keep that vision and mission, the goal, but the numbers have to add up. And if they add up and if that idea is going to bring in that revenue that, you know, great, we've hit that goal. We work off things called cost per engaged user. An engaged user for us is someone who in their lifetime of their time with us right now, we do a 12-month LTV, is going to generate us $200 plus.
Yeah.
And if they're on their way to doing that within the year, they're an engaged user. So everything right now is, are they converting to engaged users, which will generate us the revenue we need by the date we need. And if we're soaring at that every single month, we know we're on track.
Right. Would you say that's the predominant, I guess, approach with tech-oriented software and apps? Because, you know, I could even imagine companies like X or Twitter or Meta kind of look at it in a similar way where they're kind of like, what's the user's value?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, because you've got to watch the ads and things like that with those guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a similar way. They look at, you know, how many of those users watch the ads, how many of those users do this and that.
Right.
Because it does, I mean, it makes the most sense.
Like
when
if you
you're
look
doing
at the
B2C.
app and like how many users do you guys have on the app?
Look, we have 45,000 registered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And active?
Active 8 to 12,000 at the moment.
Yeah.
And like we were saying before, it really, the gift cards was who do we want in the app and who isn't right for the app currently right now. And we went, these are the right people. Let's start just going at those people. We need high value at the start rather than everyone. And that kills me because I want everyone in the app. But strategically, I know we have to be selfish to be selfless.
Going to build those like 1,000 hardcore fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Spot
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
1,000
Yeah.
hardcore
Yeah.
fans.
Yeah.
It's a
Congrats
perfect
on that,
analogy.
by the way. That's awesome.
It's incredible.
Numbers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Incredible. And like with the, I guess the approach, like how did you guys kick the first door down when you started to even start these conversations with the fuel company, with Coles? Like I know you were going through the gift card channel because that kind of gave you access to all of them by proxy, I guess, by using that. But then actually building a one-on-one partnership with these brands, like what was some of the experiences that you had? How did you start opening those conversations? Like how would someone even go on the journey of trying to do that?
I think, I mean, this is definitely what I've done a lot of. This is kind of where I sit within the business. A lot of it's come through LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn's been really good for us. You know, it's very simple, very easy to use. You can actually automate a lot of your stuff now as well. But yeah, we just kind of try to get in contact with the person that we actually need to talk to. Because the thing that I was finding was you call, talk to the person on the desk, they get the next person to email you. That might take 3 or 4 days. Then you're kind of sitting around waiting for that to happen. You send through an email. You know, it doesn't just have let's chat to Dane Walker, the head of Ravel, straight away. You got to talk to this person, this person, this person. So with LinkedIn, you can actually target, that partnerships head at that company.
Yeah.
You can just kind of have them until they get back to you.
So partnership head is like someone that would work within a company in that particular role that manages the partnerships.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you would just, I guess, headhunt that particular individual and then try to talk to them.
Yeah, exactly. And then or you got the affiliate side as well. It's kind of the two, but those are the two kind of positions that we really, really target, partnerships and affiliates. And we just get in contact with them. We have a bit of a chat. We see where they sit. We see what they can do with us. And then we go from there. That's basically how we started. And it was really just a numbers game. It was how many people can you reach out to in a day? How many times will they actually respond to you? Out of those people, who am I going to book a meeting with? And then how do we go from there? So with the fuel one, we were trying to chat to everyone that we could. And really it was just ticking over. And then we eventually got the yes.
Yeah. Is there a goal that you have in mind where you're like maybe at a certain point the brand's going to hit like a critical mass point where maybe people are chasing you?
100%. 100%.
Yes.
That's a lovely day when we get to that.
Right? When it flips,
That's-
like,
yeah,
that would be the best.
Now,
you
don't-
want to work with us now?
Don't get me wrong, we have had, we do advertising campaigns with businesses as well. And, it was only a couple of days ago we had a business reach out who we were doing a campaign with, weren't entirely happy with the volume to start. And now that our volume's so much bigger, they're reaching back out to us saying, can we get things going again? So it's been really interesting to see in that 6-month window, we've gone from they're not entirely happy with the volume to they now want to come back and
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing when you're working with these brands, we are a startup. So it's letting them know, hey, like for us, the best thing is that we have the best mission, hey, do you actually care about saving lives?
Yeah.
And it's like,
you can't say no.
yeah.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, we're not seeing the volume we want, but look at all the lives we've saved. So that's the thing is like, it's really easy for us to talk to them about that and say, hey, look, get on board now. It's going to be easier now. We're going to really prioritize you. And as we build, we're going to build together.
Right. So maybe like you can start showing the trajectory.
Exactly.
So would you say that adds credibility when you can say, look, 2 years ago we're here, now we're here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where do you think that arrow is going?
Exactly.
You
Be
want to get
honest.
in early. Yeah.
Yeah.
be honest with your partners. Like if you're trying to bring on partners and you sell
a
them
good
the
point.
world, you sell them the world at the start
Yeah.
and they're out of reach. Guess what? It's going to end up in tears.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
honest with them. People buy from people. People like the truth. And if you just say, look, that we're this big, we're new, we might not get the results, but let's see how things go. Great. You generally leave the doors open for a
Yeah.
happy relationship.
Yeah. And did you find out that the hard way, or did you start from that position?
We were honest. We were honest with them. I think my background, I've been in sales for 10 years. When you
Yeah.
overcommit in business, it never works out good. But with my Drive Hero, we've always been honest with our partners.
Yeah, like here's where we really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's power in that too. Like even here at the company, like there's been meetings I've had internally here at Rival where I'm like, hey guys, this is where we're really at.
So good.
And
Yeah.
everyone's like, whoa, what can we do to help?
That's so
Yeah.
good.
It kind of pulls that part of the human out of them that's like, well, that sucks. Like, how can I contribute? It's almost like
Yeah.
maybe that's a part of the human
How can I
nature.
help?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're reaching out, even though you're like, okay, this is a giant company like Coles, you tell them, hey, this is where we're really at. This is what we're going for. These are the struggles we're having.
Yeah.
Do you find it pulls an emotion out of them that's like, oh man, I kind of want to help you guys out a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's that, and it's
Yeah.
also a respect thing as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's like we respect you guys enough to tell you the truth.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, and we're also that's one of our values within the company itself. For us, is the way that we deal with each other as well. Is just that we're going to be respectful when it comes to dealing with you. We're going to be respectful when it comes to dealing with each other. And so we found that a lot of our partners really like that. They're like, cool. We'll give you a whole bunch of deals now. We'll get it going. Let's see how it goes 6 months from now. We'll check in. Like,
Yeah.
cool. There's no ego about it. We're not there going, hey, we're going to do like $100,000 worth of sales in the first day. And then they're sitting there going,
Well, you missed that by a bit.
so.
It's reality, man. And I
Yeah.
think, these companies are probably so used to hearing these pitches of perfection and rainbow and unicorn,
Yeah.
kind of outcomes that they kind of can sniff out the BS.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then what inspires you guys beyond, I guess, the mission that started this, which was unfortunately this poor girl who passed away in a mining location. Do you look at other apps and draw inspiration? Do you look at individuals? Like, how do you guys stay motivated into trying to push yourselves and reach for that next level in the business?
Motivated. It's an interesting word, motivation.
Yeah.
I run off discipline.
Cool.
I think motivation comes and goes.
Me too, brother.
And
Yeah.
Let's go. I felt that.
so many people
Yeah.
use this word, and I've chatted to people
feel
I love,
motivated.
friends, and
Yeah.
but motivation does come and go. One day you wake up, you don't feel like exercising. It's discipline that gets you.
It's almost like an emotional state.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because
And
for
in
me, it's like,
business,
oh, I feel pumped today to go to the gym, and then
Yep.
the next day you're like, I feel flat. I'm going to go anyway.
gonna
Yeah,
go anyway.
discipline.
And
Exactly.
that's with business.
Yeah.
Like, you asked me in that week when I gave away that car, was I motivated? Oh, I was flying. I
Yeah.
was just, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I am so happy right now. I've given this person a car. Everything after that, you're charging. Now, if I didn't run off discipline, a couple of weeks later, if things aren't going to plan or your data drops a bit and your new users aren't coming in, you see a couple of people leave the app, and you're now not motivated or you're
Right.
down in the dumps.
Then
it's
your performance
then
drops.
Yeah.
And then it
company
cascades
drops.
and spirals out
Yeah.
of control.
And then you wonder
Yeah.
like what happened, and then like the mountain keeps getting bigger and bigger because you
Yeah.
haven't been doing. I think a big thing for us is we have daily huddles. We have those little tick offs. And,
Yeah,
we
do that
try-
too every morning, every night.
Yeah.
Keep everyone on point, on the
Yeah,
same page.
it's also
Yeah.
to check in too. Hey, how's it going? Like, Blake's been very honest sometimes. Hey, man, I'm actually really struggling with this, and this. So you can have that compassion for
Right.
what's going on as well.
It's so important in business because I think I don't know, in previous jobs I've had, I never felt like I could be that comfortable to be like, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, well, someone's not getting a pay raise, you know, like, whereas in the teams where I hear people, you know, share the things that they're struggling with and everyone rallies around them and helps them jump into that task. We call it play the field. So we have we call our KPIs RAWs. We were talking about this before the pod, but you know, when we sit in those meetings, we're like, hey, what are you struggling with? And how can we help you?
Yeah.
Where do you need tools and resources and mentorship? We're here to help. And then our team every 6 weeks give us the feedback on that stuff. And we get to learn a whole bunch about them. They get a bunch of stuff off their chest and we can build a plan for them.
Yeah,
And I think
100%.
that's so rare in business, man. People aren't doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Much management, not enough leadership.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in 10 years, just so many people that are also unqualified for a job. Just because you get results in a company doesn't mean you're a leader.
Right.
But you've got to care about people
Yeah.
to be a leader. And if you're not, then it's going to go through the whole company and you see that. I've seen it so many times. So I think doing that with your company, that's leadership. That's not management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there anyone that I guess you've looked at their formula or their methodology and you've tried to adopt it? For example, I was very inspired by Gary Vee and how he was able to use himself as a content creator
Yeah.
to be a giant funnel for his agency.
Yeah.
And essentially he's giving all this epic value away.
Yeah.
But then you see him on stages and you're like, well, he's getting paid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's
that's
killing
the
it.
point. I like,
Yeah,
what
he's
point?
killing
Like,
it, yeah.
It's really incredible marketing. And I
Yeah.
liked how he wasn't spruiking. He's just like, here's a bunch of value.
Yeah.
And people will see enough in me to want to pay me to come out and speak, right? Or offer their services from VaynerMedia. Do you guys look at anything in the industry and go, man, these guys have a really good formula. What can we learn from them? What can we adopt from them? Yeah.
Personally, Simon Sinek.
Okay.
So would have been 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, someone showed me the golden circle.
Yeah.
And we use this now with our marketing team that we brought on board. If we ever feel like too much what and how is being pushed, where's the why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the why? Why are we not
Yeah.
starting with the why? Like our why is amazing. Why not start with
It's
that
such
why?
a good why.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
and it's not like it always
Yeah.
gets missed, but anyone that's doing stuff with us, whether it's video content or whatnot, if that why isn't front and center, I'll send them the golden circle video.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
say, please watch this. It will transform your life. So personally, Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
But business, Sweatcoin.
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 What's
Great,
Sweatcoin?
great app. So
Let's pull it up.
yeah, pull up Sweatcoin. So they're essentially just you walk, you exercise, you get coins and you get tokens. But
Okay.
like us, you get
Sweat
points.
coin.
Sweat Queen.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to come up if we search Sweat Queen. Let's keep it.
So it's very similar to us. We have definitely based some of our ideas.
Okay, cool.
off them. Look, they
Pays to walk. That's clever.
Yeah.
they're just walking. You're getting your points. You can use them in the marketplace. But one of the biggest things I think when I saw them is, I believe we can create a marketplace that just is far more outstanding than any other.
Right. So this is a
marketplace.
similar model.
Yep.
Where,
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
where people, I guess, walk as your consumers drive, they
Yeah.
redeem points and,
Yep.
and then they can spend it on things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did this exist before you guys
Yep.
started?
Yeah, this has been
16,
around since it's been around for quite a while. And so we're very big, like I said on a while ago on that data. Is like we looked at them, we said, well, they've been around since 2016.
Wow.
They grew through the pandemic. They've been doing all this stuff. Surely there's a way that we can do this as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
If
Yeah.
it's been done for walking.
Instead of weaponizing against people's mobile phones. Let's do something like what these guys do. And I think that's really cool when you can draw inspiration,
Yep.
right? It's
Yeah.
the art of stealing. If you can see a formula, you're like, okay, maybe that could work in this industry and we can solve a problem with a piece of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Their app as well is gorgeous. Like it's
Yeah.
such a sexy app.
Yeah.
If you look at it, the thing moves and it's like digital mountains in the background on it.
Yeah,
It's
there
a
you go. There's
beautiful-
some screenshots of it.
Beautiful app.
Lovely.
Yeah.
can't
And I know you
quite
guys are working on developing some of this
Yeah.
stuff as
Yes,
well.
new app coming out, but a little bit away from something as good as that.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's part of staying humble. Is we know that the mountain's big and we're hungry. Wolves climb the mountain. So
Yeah.
there's great things we've taken from this app, and there's also things that we look at, and I have 100% belief that we can do so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your background, was that in developing apps for other,
No,
just
no,
purely
fi-
sales?
finance, predominantly finance and management of people.
Okay.
So
Yeah. And what do you think has spilled over from that career into this? Because it sounds like you're a numbers guy,
Yeah.
your attention to detail, and also you've got that human component,
Yeah.
which is, you've got like this duality between those two worlds. You're very emotionally fueled and why purpose driven,
Yeah.
but then you're looking at the data, looking at the numbers, making sure that both sides work, which is so rare in business because a lot of the times people are either one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you're
100%.
trying to bring both sides together.
For sure.
Yeah.
And look, I try my best.
Yeah.
No one's perfect, but I think humble beginnings as a child through my life, and found finance and sales when I got older, then got into management because I just loved seeing other people do well. Like I loved getting up for that. I was in stockbroking for a while, and it was because I liked helping other people make money. That was so purpose driven. And then when this opportunity came along, this is even more purpose driven, saving lives.
Yeah.
So it all transpired in. But yes, with my role, it's very heavy in the numbers and very heavy in people management. So it just suited to a T. And if you've got no ego, you bring on people that have the experience in the app world. You bring on people that are from that world. Make sure that you're not the smartest person in the room, is something we always say.
Yeah. And did you notice as the business started to shift from, I guess, startup mode, where we're like bootstrap and startup phase, would you say you're starting to move into maturity now, where things are kind of getting structure and systems and everything's kind of shifting internally? Or
Close.
Yeah. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting to that stage very soon. Like we now have an excellent marketing team. We've got 2 excellent development teams that bring their own flair and strengths to the team, and it is starting to grow right in front of our very eyes.
Yeah. And then next, like, what's the next thing on the horizon for you guys? Like, what are you trying to get the team to point themselves at and work toward?
The new app.
Yeah.
The new app is everything. It's consumed us for months and months and months now. What is the problem with the current app? Where are we losing people? Where are people not feeling loved? Where are they not feeling engaged? How we push safety in a more fun light? How do we keep them in the app when they're not just driving? And that's, like I said before, games, social feed. You know, we are bringing in essentially our own place where people can promote their wins. So if you go in there as a brand new user, you're like, oh, this person here, there's their groceries. Oh, there's their free fuel that they've got. Here's their car they won. And you can see that in front of your very eyes. And that's just going to make people so much more motivated.
Leaderboards as well, and education, a bit more education as well. So
bringing out that competitive nature.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But competitive for the right reasons, you know. But yeah, like, you know, that's been a really big part of like what we've been doing for the past 6 months. You know, we just like, because we looked at the data, we knew that we need to do a lot more with the app, but nothing happens in a day. So we really,
it takes a long time. For anyone looking to build apps, it takes a lot longer than you think.
Yeah. What would you say, like, the realistic expectation should be around app and app development? And, you know, because it seems like it's constant tinkering. It's not like you launch it, you make the money.
Constant, forever. Like if you don't have in your business plan that you are going to continuously invest in that every single month,
you're doing the wrong
plan
thing.
is so off.
Right. So you would suggest anyone that looks at, I guess, especially in the utility space, maybe if it's a game, it's a little bit different, but
anything where you need, you know, a whole bunch of users. Because I would say also the overheads as well is a big thing. You know, you got to have the servers and stuff online so you can have those people logging those trips and doing those things. So any kind of app where you're going to rely upon people jumping in and users, you really got to be able to think 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead about what's the next upgrade, what's the next thing we need to focus on.
And the way the market's moving. Like we just said before, games are huge, social's massive now. We were looking at what are the most profitable apps, and most of them are social. So why don't we have a social function? Great, it's coming out.
Are you guys getting a lot of like UGC oriented content? Because I've noticed that like there's a big uptick in brands trying to creatively and cleverly use UGC content, like user generated content.
I would say we've probably always had a bit of UGC, but the thing was, it was just me and Blake doing everything, so we didn't have enough people, you know, to
like just you guys out there making it.
Well, no, like
it
was to share it and things like that. You know, like we couldn't capitalize on it. Now we've got a team, and it's like, hey, you know, have you guys got this video that you know, this user sent us? Have you guys got this text, this and that? You know, this photo, this and that. Whereas like before, it would just be me and Blake, and like, you know, we've got so many hours in the day, we're trying to prioritize 1,000,001 different things. This UGC content is just getting wasted.
And that's the thing with startups and startups with apps, and when you're trying to make capital last, is you got to wear every hat. If you think you're going to come in here with a fancy title and run a company and do a couple of big decisions and that's all you do, that comes down the track. It is every hat. You clean the toilets, you make the lunches, you're doing marketing, you're doing sales, you're doing development, you're doing as much as you can. And if you're not ready for that, you're not ready for it.
Yeah. It's a really good point, because I guess like you almost have to, like, even, you know, Jared, if we go back to early days in Rival, you and I shared all the hats.
We did. We wore a lot of hats. And we started online, you know, the way that we started.
Working from home,
It was funny when we first met you guys, because we met you online as well, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it's like in the flesh. It's awesome to see clients in the flesh. It was the same sort of celebration when we all came together. And,
100%.
A couple interesting stories there as well.
Wait. Let's do it.
You have to tell the story, man.
Which one?
Which
You
one?
know the one I'm talking about. How the first two people at Rival met each other, and under what circumstance?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
All I'm going to say is car park, McDonald's, you and Luke.
So what happened?
Yeah. Okay. So
It's a funny story. I love it.
we're working online. It's in COVID. Both Luke and I live north of the bridge, and they'd locked down the north side of Sydney during this COVID period. You could go 5 kilometres from your home.
Yeah.
So then we had a client that is I'm just going to say it's a sex toys client.
Yeah.
They sent us some product to take photos of. So it was a box of dildos. But they sent it to me. They sent it to me and not to Luke. Luke was the one that was supposed to be taking the photos of
And these
that.
guys have never met in person.
We've never met, just on cam, So
Yeah.
I've got this box of dildos. I'm trying to figure out where the 5K limit is, and we found a McDonald's car park that actually crosses over for both of us. We're like, okay, that's sort of
That's
a
the
place.
drop zone.
Yeah.
This is the drop point.
It's a place that we both know. It's a bit of a flagstone place. So anyway, we both travelled to this car park. We haven't seen each other before, so we're in masks as well. So all you can see is that.
Yeah.
Been working together for a year on Zoom.
Oh.
Yeah, and
yeah.
we hand over the box of dildos. Take a quick happy snap.
Yeah.
Awkwardly go, "How you going, man? Yeah, cool. Anyway, see you back on cam." And then
Yeah.
fell back to work. And it was just like the most random, the most weirdest
That's
case of meeting.
That's the first
somebody
time
ever.
ever two people at Rival ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
an icebreaker right there.
yeah, exactly.
Apart from some of the founding members down in
Yeah.
Victoria area, but yeah, just once we'd sort of got to that stage, it was.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And do you guys find like some of your team work from home, right?
Yeah.
So how do you like I've heard I guess different debates around, some people are all about it, some people don't like it. Like what are you finding with like the whole work from home experience and trying to
Incredible.
Yeah.
create team culture around
I
that?
think the thing is, having the right people. Blake and I, like, we are the core team. We've got contractors and people on the outside of it, but it is, us cleaning the toilets and doing all that stuff every day. And like Blake said, I've never met anyone more motivated than me. He's never met anyone as motivated as Blake. So
Just trying
it
to
does,
out-motivate each other all the time.
but it doesn't really affect us in that way because it's just us. We're on the phone to each other at least 5-6 times a day as well. Like there isn't any time when people talk about slacking off or anything like that. It's just us.
I do like it though. I think work from home is incredible. Cool. I can't fathom when people are just making people come back to the office 5 days a week if they don't want to. And it depends on your job. It depends what you do as well. But I think in any industry I've been in, you can still get stuff done on a phone and a laptop. And I think when you give people freedom and treat them like adults, you get adult results.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting because it's almost like we have similar driving principles here at Rival where we're like, when we're interviewing people, we look for people that have that natural ability to want to do it themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we look for people that have kind of a bit of a rebellious side to them. They're like doing it their own way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we know when they come on board, we give them a lot of autonomy around like, here's the jobs you need to get done this month. Like figure out how you'd like to approach it.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely.
people have that ability to kind of dictate their own day and, work on something that they're excited about in that moment. So you find that like leading people like that seems to be like the new economy, the new way to kind of run a business.
Yeah, I think if the person can't get the job done where they need to get it done, then they've hired wrong.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of things come in, right? A lot of companies hire wrong and then expect to get the results off the way that they're setting things up.
Right.
Hire for your environment.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking
That's
for
so
people who
true.
are a bit like mavericks,
Yeah.
a little bit rebellious, then you're hiring for that environment.
And we've learned the hard
Yeah.
way. So like, I almost Jared and I always joke about this. We're always trying to sell someone out of the job
Yep.
in
Yeah.
their interview. We're like, this is why this place is terrible. And they're like, no, I still want to work here. So we're like, okay. So what we learned was like, if you look at, I guess, traditionally how people would interview, it's always about like, tell me why you're great, tell me what you're passionate about, blah, blah, blah. But what we're looking for is like, what are they actually like outside of the workplace? And I know you ask those cliche questions like, what do you do on your free time?
Yeah.
We always look for people that have like natural creative drive outside the workplace.
Yeah.
So for example, Em, who worked on your mascot, when we interviewed her, she's like, oh, I do Korean K-pop dancing. I have my own dance crew. I do the videography. I dance
Cool.
every night. I do in competitions. And it's like she's naturally found her own creative outlet.
Yeah.
So that person doesn't need to be trained creative. They are creative.
Yeah.
And what we found was people that had nothing they did outside of work creatively,
Yeah.
even if they had it on their resume, I'm a graphic designer, they just weren't naturally
Fizzing with it.
fizzing with creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you find that like there's a thing that you look for in people you bring onto the team? that you try to identify in them early?
I'll probably say, I mean, the first thing is we haven't done too much of that yet, to be honest. It is just me and Blake. But I'll say that something that we definitely respect and look for is having that outlet.
Yeah.
For us, it's fitness for a lot of us within the team.
Yeah.
But having an outlet so that way you can go and let go of that steam and things like that and come back to the job. That's a really big thing that Blake is really big on, and we watch a lot of masterclasses and stuff as well. And Richard Branson said, take a breath, but what is it you do when you take that breath that actually resets you? It's all well and good to take a breath, but you come back with that same energy. You're not really helping anyone.
Yeah.
But what is it when you take that breath that actually allows you to come back to the situation fresh and ready to go with a new approach?
Look, we haven't hired many direct employees, but every contractor we bring on is still going through that process. Like they're still being hired as such, just because the pay is different. The pay is different in the way that it gets sent. It's not an employee contract. They're still our team, absolutely. And for us, they need to be oozing with the passion for this job and not just here to work on another client's project.
Yeah.
And we have let go of some agencies because there was no fire there. It's like if you're just getting up to collect your paycheck to do the bare minimum, we need people who are dying to save lives, like wanting this bad. And our current team oozes this every single time you talk to them. They're messaging me at all sorts of hours. I thought of this, I thought of that. That's what we need.
Yeah.
And I think you guys have had that from the very beginning, right? Like so many brands, they start off with, we need to monetize.
Yep.
But you guys very much started the other way where you're like, we got to fulfill this mission.
Yep.
And then how do we monetize this?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you found a way where it made sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have a mission, but it's difficult to monetize.
Yeah.
But you knew it could be done.
Definitely.
And do you think like the vision has pulled the team toward it? Do you think it's gotten in the way sometimes? Will you get too excited about it perhaps? Like,
no, I definitely think it's, it's attracting you towards it. So my background comes from more in like the social sector. I've worked in a lot of non-for-profits. I've worked with a lot of like impact community ventures and things like that. And I think that balancing act that we talked about before is like a major thing that really affects that sector in particular, because everyone gets caught up in the mission. Everyone gets caught up in the stuff, and then you talk to them 6 months later and there's no more money.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, we just spent it all and we got all these things done, but there was no sustainability. So
Such a great question.
Yeah.
Honestly, such a great question, because I do think about some conversations we've had with our teams, and it was just mission and I love it. But then I'm like, okay, we still need, still need the revenue. That person coming into the app, brilliant. But we have these streams. We need them watching some ads. We need them subscribing to premium. We do need people buying our in-app purchases to double their points, because we want them to get more rewards.
Yeah.
They get more rewards. They spend a couple of bucks. It helps us. It helps them.
Yeah.
We still got to be pushing that.
Yeah.
So you are right. It has sometimes maybe gotten in the way.
Yeah.
You got to help the
because you
team
can get
through it.
excited about a vision, but then at the same time, it's like it's like Gary Vee talks about this clouds and dirt.
Yeah.
You got to think about big picture, pie in the sky, big dreams and visions, and moving toward that. But then you got to get back down into the nitty gritty, into the dirt. So like the meta and the micro. How much time would you say as an organization you kind of bounce between the two? Do you try to keep it even? Like, how do you make sure you're smashing the day-to-day operations, but then how often are you trying to remind people of the mission at hand?
Well, that's a really, really interesting question.
I would say a big part of it is like we have our little rocks and big rocks. So we have that big vision and we set up those little rocks and we just work towards them, and then we look up again and we go, okay, this is the big vision of where we want to get to. But we make sure that we achieve these things that need to be done first.
And I think that's bringing on an advisor. We brought on an advisor knowing we know what we know, but we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not always about the answer. It's about the question. It can find answers, but it's what's the question you've got to ask. And we brought on an advisor that had more experience than us, and it's been one of the best things ever, because Josh and I have ideas. We're always going over ideas. We meet all the time. Me, Rick, and Josh will meet up, go over where we can take this, what can we bring in. But our advisor has just helped us, like Josh said, break it down and just do 13-week races, big rocks, little rocks, make sure we're just going on the, I guess, the path.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I'm just
for
chipping out of
startup people, if you are kind of new and yes, you've got developers, bring on people around you that are smarter than you.
Having that
Help your
circle is a massive
business.
thing.
And then with all of this happening, like, was there a moment where you're like, this is legit happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the moment where you felt the gear shift and you're like, oh, startup idea, and then the news hit?
The news.
Yeah.
It was the news. It was like Josh said, we're on
Like
our morning
validation.
meeting and I'm just phones going off. We want to come see you. We want to come see you for this. And people said, how much did you pay for that? Still, some people don't believe that was free.
Wow, okay.
It was entirely free, not a cent. Daily Telegraph set it off. The news came same day, bang out that night. So that was, I would say, the biggest, but we had one before that, and it's when the Shopify store went live. Love the Shopify store. Ugly looking thing. But
Thanks to Shopify. Shout outs to Shopify.
When people we launched it one Friday Arvo, bang, redemptions came through at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
And then the next day, redemptions. And we went, this has now proved that this model works.
Yeah.
'Cause if you can do it once, you can do it a billion times.
Yeah.
Make $1, you can make $1 billion more.
Yeah.
And that was the main two that really hit us.
Yeah. And if you had to kind of like anchor that vision that you are pushing toward, like, what is that for you guys? Like, how big are you trying to get this thing to go?
10 million lives impacted positively is our big, hairy, audacious goal, we call it. So we know if we can save lives, give people discounts, help them save money, that is positively impacting lives.
I love how you guys said that in unison, by the way. That's really cool. Goosebumps. So how do you calculate using an app? Like, this is the thing I was chatting to Jared about today. Like, how do you actually figure out like figuratively how many lives you've saved?
That's something we're working
hard
on
to
right
claim.
now. It is a really big job, and we are looking at working with some, essentially data scientists, people in governments, people that have all of that data. Because for me, if I think about it, you got X amount of kilometers driven at exactly the speed limit over. If you have all that data, you could say, all right, if you drove 100% the speed limit for 1 million kilometers, that's
Didn't use your phone.
0.1 life, right?
Yeah.
Great. Now we know that every time 100 trip has occurred at the kilometer rate, that's how we're going to.
Because I guess the National Roads Association in Australia would have like data on general statistics of like how often
needs to be formulated.
accidents occur.
Yeah, it needs to work in with us. And, just a little caveat, we're about to approach this 20 million kilometers, which is like really exciting for us. So we're coming close to that. But it is really,
Thank you.
Yeah, it is really.
To all of our community.
Thanks
have done it without them.
Thanks to everyone who drives. And it really is, we need to get that formula kind of locked in, because once that is locked in, then we'll be able to talk about, that 20 million equals X amount of lives saved.
Right now we know redemption. So every time someone does get a discount at a store, every time someone wins one of our giveaways, that's a part of the formula for a life positively being impacted. And now the next point is an incident being averted and a life being saved.
Yeah.
So we plan that we'll have this by the end of this financial year. We'll have that formula entirely done.
Wow.
And it'll be ticking up on our website.
And then you can
go
actually
and see
make a
it.
claim.
Exactly.
You can actually then highlight that
make
as
a
well.
proper claim. But I don't want to do it off the cuff. People have said, you can kind of figure it out. No, that's not something that you joke around with. I'll pay the money that I need to pay to get that done.
That's a
properly.
tangled web, because you can upset people.
It's
Exactly.
That's it. It's not good. And there's plenty. I've seen other companies that do similar things, and they throw that figure out there, and it's got to be correct, and it's got to be backed by data. And I'd rather not have it for a period of time than have it fake.
Yeah, you guys are doing incredible, and the team have been using the app, and everyone's been enjoying it and loving it, and they're excited for the updates.
Yeah,
and
just
the
wait for the new
gamification.
one. The new one's going to be so much better.
Can you talk about it yet?
Yeah, we talk about it.
We talk about
Obviously,
everything.
can't see it yet. It's going to come out in about 4 different phases.
Okay.
So the first one's going to be all of the necessities, because we want to get it out as fast as possible. But we've thought about everything from the tutorial, where you come on board from the moment you get the app, we give you points, and you're welcome. You're already a hero.
Yeah.
Come through to the account. We give you a tutorial. You get to see everything that's involved. You get shown how to use it. It's really exciting. And you get to
Like a
use
video
it.
game when you log in. It's like,
Exactly,
welcome to your
yeah.
kingdom.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to get like a little RuneScape man playing around.
And the marketplace is split. You got your rewards, you got premium. Like, we can actually split it in that way. Whereas currently, all the rewards just sit in the same spot, giveaways and everything. But you can actually filter and everything like that. You'll be able to see trips just like kind of loading on the trips page rather than having to click each one individually.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of just new features. The leaderboard's a massive thing that I'm super keen for, that competitive nature.
That would get me, man.
Well, that's the thing is, you know what I mean?
I beat someone, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
We're just like,
I'm not gonna lie about it. That drives me. So do you find that like there's like some science behind like dopamine and serotonin and how like apps use games and stuff like that? Have you guys like
No,
looked
there
into
would have
some
to
of that?
be, but no, I've never really dove into like the science of it. It's
Cool.
just data.
Yeah.
It's just what does work. And you look at, that app we were just looking at before, 120 million registered users. Like,
Yeah.
If we have 120 million drivers driving better and increasing by even just 1% a day or 1% a year, that's a lot of people getting safer on the road. That's going to be a lot of lives saved, and we'll know that figure soon.
Yeah. And do you guys have any crazy big hairy collaborations that you're like, it'd be cool to get someone in
Coles and Woolies, man.
Coles
Give
and
them some
Woolies.
markets. If they partnered with us, that would be like the day Blake and I would just be like, yes.
We know that would help so many people.
Right.
That would help so many people. The fuel one we've got coming has been something we've wanted from day dot, and that's getting very close.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we're super
You've been knocking on
pumped.
Coles and Woolies' door a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're out
we've
here.
been trying every door. We've
Yeah.
been banging on windows, banging on the roof. One day we'll get there. One day we'll get
I
there.
think the biggest thing too is getting a a lot of those bigger brands to understand, like we talked about it earlier, Samsung had one that failed, Amy had one that failed, getting these bigger brands to understand that we're different. People go to us and they go, we've seen this before. It's just another rewards thing, safe driving. It doesn't really work.
Yeah.
And so, we're getting the social proof together. We're getting people going. And that's like going to be the kicker that gets us over the line.
Yeah.
Because, we're sitting here going, if you guys just work with us, it just will be great from the start. But really it is for them. They like, we've seen this before.
And that's the power of differentiation,
Exactly.
right? Like we're always preaching this and telling clients, like we hear the old vanilla values.
Yeah.
Like most people
You guys
talk
got
to-
us with that. Yeah, I remember that. You guys
today. So the vanilla values essentially is like, this is most business owners, like we want to be trustworthy and caring and do it with integrity and be honest about everything so that we can provide clients with empowerment by inventing innovative techniques in order to disrupt the market.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like this kind of language is unfortunately commonplace.
Yeah.
As exciting as and as rad as it sounds, it's pretty. Everyone says the same thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like NPCs in a video game.
Yeah.
Same content, right? So like, what have you guys found as being a pivotal moment for you when you started to differentiate, you started to lean into different things, different tactics? Have you found some stuff where you're like, man, we're killing it by doing this thing radically different? Obviously the optimism piece is big.
I think that's a big part of it is, really creating those heroes.
Yeah.
That's a thing that really works well with brands is when they say that, we've heard of this before. It's like, well, Samsung, not to, but it was S-Drive. Like nothing about that makes you go, I want to download S-Drive and let's go and get, when we really talk about our community and how engaged they are and how many redemptions that they see and how many times people are logging trips, all of a sudden, tell me more. And then all of a sudden when it comes time to claim, you've got discounts for here, you've got discounts for clothes, you've got discounts on HelloFresh, you've got discounts on a whole bunch of different brands. It's just more than insurance or anything else. That's been the biggest play for us is seeing how massive the marketplace can be and how many different ways you can use the points within our ecosystem.
Yeah, because even if people are like Uber drivers or taxi drivers, truck drivers, or delivery men, like I imagine you guys have an ocean of people that are like doing that kind of thing. And then you got moms and dads and families. So
Exactly.
This is who doesn't drive, right? If they're an adult, so obviously trying to figure out how do we differentiate all these different verticals. And try to get attention across the
and removing
across the line.
greed, huge one, and something we're doing a lot right now. A lot of people want to get all these brands in their app and make a big commission off them because they want a lot of cash right now. We've taken a different approach where with any partner that comes into the app, we're removing commission. You don't pay us anything. Please pass on that value to our customer. So we have the most unique discounts in the country and we're not taking a cent from it to create a bigger ecosystem, to have more people in the app, which will eventually come back in more revenue. So rather than chasing every single dollar right now, knowing it's coming later and getting more people in the app, which creates a way better long play.
Yeah.
Are you finding like any particular techniques spread the virality of an app? Like for example, I noticed on Clubhouse when it was popping off, I think it's dead in the ass now. No one's really using it as of late, but I remember it was like this giant thing in the app space where everyone was like, oh, how do I get an account? And the only way you could get on Clubhouse is if someone sent you a referral to get on there. And it was almost like the supply and the demand were at odds with each other, and it made it exciting when you got an account, you wanted to use it. And then when you joined, I think you had 4 tokens. So you could pick 4 people to send the app to.
I got referred by Dane Walker, by the way. So.
I did get you on the platform and you enjoyed it. And then, everyone just started selling shit on there and it just became a spruik marathon. But I did meet some
Twitter
cool people.
Spaces kind of killed it a bit as well.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah. It's a bit more interactive.
Yeah. Is it still popping off, Twitter Spaces? Which is X now.
Depends if you're depends if you're into crypto, I think. That's where I see Twitter Spaces just popping off.
Exactly.
Interesting conversation, right? It's hot in the press right now what's happening with X and the rebrand. Like, what do you guys think about this whole rebrand? Like, being an app. Yeah.
We just did one. It was great.
We just did one. Thanks to Rival.
Shout out to Rival.
Shout out to Rival.
But in his case, it seems quite disruptive. And Jared, I know you're a hardcore Twitter guy. And I know you've got a bone to pick with Elon about some of the approach to it because you've been using the platform a lot in the crypto space. What's been your experience all around, like with the Twitter rebrand? Has it impacted you guys or not? And Jared, I know for sure it has impacted you quite a bit.
Well, I'm just a fan of the Twitter brand, and then he's killed it overnight. Basically,
savage.
Well, it's gone. It's X now, right? So essentially, that was just not really.
You just
teased.
love waking up in the
There was no
morning,
teaser
having
or
a
anything.
coffee, seeing that sweet little
A
bird.
little
Well, I
bird.
think, yeah.
I prefer to ask the question back to you guys because this is your forte.
Yeah.
And whatever you says goes with that stuff.
Well, I barely use Twitter. Jared, you've been using it for
Yeah,
a long
me.
time. Like, what's your experience been, man? Because like you were hardcore into Twitter for a long time.
I don't use it as much anymore.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little bit peeved at how they did it.
Okay.
That's just my take on it, though.
Yeah.
But like, if you look at the way that you guys did it, you teased the fact that you've got this new brand. You teased
Yeah.
the fact, or
Like
the
the
reasons
rollout
why.
was really positive.
like,
Yeah.
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 There was a really
Yeah.
good sort of story behind that. Like you launched it properly.
Yeah, I mean, to speak on that, like, I didn't even realize that the rebrand had happened, and I was like, "What's this ad giving me all these X like notifications all the
Yeah.
time?" I was
Yeah.
like, "What's X?" It seems a
There
bit
was no
like,
build up. It was like bang. bang.
yeah, and I was
Yeah, it's
literally
like,
like,
we're here.
and then Blake was like, Twitter's rebranded to X, and I was like, "Oh, that's my Twitter," because I was like, because I used to be on it heaps, and then obviously we're running a business now, I don't have as much time anymore,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I still get the notifications and stuff, so yeah, it is interesting. I mean, you guys definitely, you have an opinion, and I was reading a big thread about it the other day.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm kind of in both worlds, right? Half of me is looking at Elon and going, "That's really clever. He's in the press. Everyone's talking about
Yeah.
him." You know that old saying, like, any publicity is good publicity. So I'm like, he does this where he had Cybertruck and all that stuff that happened with that. Like, he's an incredibly great marketer,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
100%.
And this is where he's a giant walking juxtaposition, where he's an incredible engineer. He's a data-oriented, detail-oriented character, but at the same time, he knows the marketplace.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, a lot of people are saying it's his ego. His ego's getting out of hand. Look how big his ego is and all the rest of it. I'm like, sure, but it's not like he hasn't done this before.
Yeah.
I feel like there's
yeah.
a play that's 3 steps ahead. We
Yeah.
haven't
That's
seen
what
yet.
I always
Yeah.
think.
With
Elon's so
I'm
smart.
always,
Yeah.
That's something, and we'll know later. We just
Yeah.
don't know it yet.
Yeah, love him or hate him, I'm like, what's he up to? So I think like what you guys did was a smart maneuver. It's less disruptive to a community because I feel like if you have an app and then bang, it's all different.
Yeah.
It's going to
Yeah.
totally disrupt the community.
Yeah.
But if you're intending to do that, then maybe there's a bigger plan at play. So
Yeah.
the thing I noticed today when I logged into LinkedIn, Jared, I saw a guy, I think he's got like 200,000 or 300,000 followers on Twitter. And he got like a $9,000 check from X. And I was like, that's okay. So there's bad press right now, but now the press is getting fueled by all these checks people are getting paid.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Twitter wasn't paying people.
Yeah.
Instagram's not paying me. Threads is not paying me. I haven't seen $1 from these apps.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I should have been on Twitter this
Yeah,
whole time.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you're
like, man, what's going on? Yeah.
as annoyed as I would be about the rebrand, I was
Yeah.
kind of peeved. I'm like, yeah, why are these other apps paying me for all the attention I get? You know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
yeah.
a new
like-
play. There's a play
I was
there,
gonna say,
and we'll
yeah.
know soon, and we'll
Yeah.
be able to answer it
Yeah.
maybe 2 months' time.
Yeah.
Okay, but being like, I guess, guys that really understand the app space, like, what's your opinion? Like when you've seen the app change and the promises of like becoming an all-in-one platform, like what we've seen in China.
Yeah.
He's trying to integrate all these concepts together. I've not as well read about this as Jared. I'm on the fence. I'm like, I can see why he's doing it, but I can also see why the community are pissed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like there's a long play, Jared.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
I just hope there is because, I'm a supporter of Elon's, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like just the way that they did that and that toasting that brand that quickly was I don't know.
I think,
I like brands, so it's gone.
I mean, like, there's a few things that we have to caveat this. You know, our community is not nearly as big
Yeah,
as
yeah, no, close.
Yeah,
Not
it's Twitter.
far,
No,
not
yeah,
far
yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah.
It's the
When we-
heroes, they're touching.
yeah. When we did the rebrand, we weren't like worrying like about the millions, but
Yeah.
I love X.
Yeah.
I honestly love it.
Yeah?
I think the aggression to it is just so confident.
Okay.
And I love how he's just done it and just gone bang.
And I think as
I
well,
love
like
that.
if you look
Yeah.
at Facebook, it's blue as well.
Okay.
You know, you got your Twitter, it's blue as well, and it's like it's a very like appealing kind of calming logo, the F, and then the old Twitter logo. X is totally different. You could also look at it in that way. I mean, he did like I think we're all fans of Elon here. I don't know, but I think he did say a while ago he was like he was really upset and wanted to take down Meta in some other way. So, you know, if you really want to. It's black, it's harsh, it's aggressive.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally different to Facebook and Instagram.
Indeed.
So if that's the way you're going to do it and that's the way you're going to differentiate yourself, and then on top of everything else, you're paying out your creators now. It's like,
Yeah.
man, there's a lot of things that are like...
And what you said before about people being a bit unsettled, like it does end. That does end.
Totally goes away, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if people like that platform and it is similar enough, they'll get over it.
Yeah,
People-
part of me is like maybe he's trying to purge the platform. He's like, if you don't like me, get out of here.
Yeah, it could be.
And those of you who are fans, hang around. I got something
Yeah.
special for you.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't know.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a ballsy play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the look of it personally. I like blacks. I like dark colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the
Yeah.
new logo. I think it's like, yeah, it
White.
definitely sets itself apart from the other social
Can you
media
pull up
platforms.
Is there anything on the under construction site that we use to look at the rebrands? You might not have your login, but even if you just pull up an article, because a lot of people are debating this. Like Jared and I were having a conversation around this. Like it does feel like an icon that's hard to own, but when you do have, I guess, 430 million active users every month.
Jeez Louis.
Well, he's already kind of got ownership over X because he uses it at, there's the
There we
Model
go.
X, Tesla,
Did you guys see this?
XAI.
So we had this giant sign on the roof of the headquarters building, and it was up for like 48 hours, and they had to take it down because
Yeah,
the
I
neighbors were pissed off there. Yeah.
Yeah, look at it. That's, yeah.
But just looking at the symbol, I guess, the bone pick was like, the X symbol's been done before, but there is a story to it, and that's he
His Generation X.
is Generation X. I didn't think of that.
Just.
And one of his sons is named after the letter X or something. I can't remember. One of his sons has a weird name. We'll have to pull it up.
Epic.
Yeah, look how bright that thing is. If you're across the street
See,
from that, you just
look
have
at
this
the-
sweet little bird out
But like
the
any
window.
publicity is good publicity. Look at this, just have it brighter and brighter and brighter. This
All we
is
saw for 72 hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
We saw the uptake when we got on just the news. This
Yeah.
has been everywhere.
Yeah.
So we just need giant hero mascots that are blinding neighbors and get on the news.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get the little My Drive hero out there.
I'm just expecting some disruptive marketing after this conversation.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You actually will see that soon enough.
Yeah. But I think in summary, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's fun to watch. I'm not mad about it. I'm excited to get ringside if they go head to head.
Yeah.
Zuck versus Elon. So you guys are team.
I'm team Elon for sure.
Yeah, I think
definitely.
Zuck would smash him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I am kind of like the underdog guy.
What's
so
the
I'd
weight
like
difference? Because that's why there's weight classes in fighting. If
Yeah, I don't know,
Elon
man.
looks like he's
How
about
much
30
does-
kilos heavier.
to. How much do they both
He
weigh?
is, but is it MMA? Because Zuck is like a BJJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah,
it's
Zuck's
game
would
over.
train. I think it's the funniest thing that's going to be like a UFC card. Can you imagine? Like, that's
Okay,
going to
here we
be
go. Someone's already figured it
insane.
out. All right, so
6'2",
Musk is
5'7".
6'2".
52 versus 39. Sheepers. The ages.
But 6'2"
Like,
to
the
5'7".
worth, that's going to come in great for the fight. Brilliant.
I wonder what they both weigh.
Just chuck a
though.
cheeky billion on it,
Yeah,
guys.
it was
Doesn't mean
160. It
anything.
was 185 pound, 159 pound. Is that what it said? Yeah, it's about 84 kilos.
Oh, dead
So
on.
that's who weighs 84? Zuck.
Elon weighs about 84.
Yeah,
Zuck
84.
weighs
Oh,
like
he's
Zuck weighs like
pretty
maybe
light.
6'4", 60.
He's a buck and a half.
He'd be about 60.
Oh, he's a small
70.
guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
lovely.
that's a pretty big weight difference.
That's a big weight difference. So that one of them would have to match the other, or meet in the. What is it? 75? Is it, or do they pick the weight class in UFC?
I have a feeling it's not even going to
It'd
be.
just-
Yeah, I don't think it's
It'd be
gonna be. I
open
think it's just gonna be
Because
open.
normally
It'd be
you got
what?
It'd be open weight. Oh, it'd be the
the
heaviest
catch.
guy's weight, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the
Might
other
be
one
the
has to
catch
match.
weight.
So you have to
make
bulk up.
Elon do
Yeah.
a huge shred stereo down to 155.
Or he might use the Neuralink. And you know in the Matrix how they have that scene where he's like downloading Kung Fu?
Yeah.
Just imagine.
They have to
that.
like scan him when he comes in and be like,
If it happens in the Coliseum, if it actually happens in the
Yeah.
Coliseum, that would be the biggest event of our lifetime. It is by far.
It'd be like watching Thomas Edison and like Nikola Tesla.
yeah,
like,
fight it out. It would be insane. Like,
It'll be terrible. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
I'm
say.
personally not a fan of all of these Jake Paul
Nate
like
Diaz,
events where
yeah.
they're fighting people that
I
are
say more-
out of their age or
Yeah.
any of that. I love the UFC. I love mixed martial arts and proper fighters fighting. And you're doing all this for cash. It's one of these things. When you
Yeah.
start doing stuff for cash,
I'd love to see like a EFC, like the entrepreneurial fight championship. You know what I mean? It's just
but like the problem would be
that
the
would
companies
sell.
would just go like the founders. Where's the founder? He's in hospital for 2 weeks.
that would sell
company just
though. That
goes
would
down.
sell. The money in that would be through the roof.
EFC. And you
Jesus.
just try to get entrepreneurs that have no fight experience.
Did we just come up with a business idea?
Yeah, I'm all in, man.
You heard it
I
here
can
first,
already
no
see the
copyright.
logo.
There's a chess boxing. I don't know if you guys have seen that. There's chess boxing. I'm like pretty big. Like I like watching chess. There's chess boxing, which is hilarious. So, like they play a move and like they'll do. I think it's like 5 minutes, and then they actually have like a boxing round, and then they'll punch each other up, and they're like, and they go back and play
wild.
some more chess.
What?
So they bring like the board in, and they're
Oh,
like,
there it is.
yeah,
Oh my
it's full.
God.
It's a full thing. It's like, yeah. So they're doing that, and then they'll fight each other again like later on. So like the chess round ends, and then they get the gloves on. Just keep going across.
Is
Yeah,
this
here we
in
go.
Russia?
So then they actually fight, and then they go back to the chess. Do you know what I mean?
Just as they did at the chessboard.
So it's
Two
yeah.
men are being careful.
I think it's the same. Yeah, back to chess again.
That is.
So what, they add all the points from the chess and the
Yeah.
boxing?
Well, that's the thing is like, so you can win the boxing round, and you can win the chess game. So it's like,
Time to start working on
it's
the body.
yeah, it's hectic. But yeah, it could be like the entrepreneurs thing. Like they kind of compare how they're running their business as well.
That's crazy, man.
Body shots versus the killer body blow.
So
Body shot.
Can you look up one more video? It's a bit random. I think it was like 500 Russians versus 500 Russians.
what?
Boxing?
I've seen one where it's like 20 and 20.
Have you seen this, Jared?
I've seen one, similar to that, where it was like 10 versus 10 or something. It's just
No, there's this
Yeah.
thing happening in Russia right now where like 500 Russians will put boxing gloves on
Oh my gosh!
and they'll run into battle,
oh my god,
and it's like a minute that they have to fight.
Oh my gosh!
this is outrageous.
Once it's down to like 450 versus 500, it's game over. It's just going to go 4, 350, 3.
Oh, this guy in the red.
So they go at it for. I don't know how they calculate who wins. I don't even think.
How many men are knocked out?
Yeah, I'm seeing a bit of grappling going on there,
Yeah.
guys.
So I don't know how much of it's boxing and how much of it's.
Oh, the,
Wow.
I'd just love to know how they get 500 versus 500. That just seems like a lot of marketing. to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
this
that
to
is a
happen.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Word of mouth. They see the power of word of mouth. Right
yeah,
there.
100%.
Go tell the boys.
Now, if they were driving safe as well,
Have you
though.
guys seen the Netflix doco about the traditional Italian sport? And it's like soccer and MMA in one. It's a Netflix doco. It's incredible.
I think I've seen. Is it a documentary about a bunch of different sports?
No, it's this one sport in Italy. I forget the name of it, and it's a very traditional sport since the
And they
start of
fight
time.
and they play soccer at
and
the
they
same
play
time.
soccer and they fight. And I mean, they're fit-looking boys, and they go at it. Really good doco.
What's it called?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I
Home
watched it
Game?
probably about 2 years ago. Click that. Yeah, that's it. The docu-series.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
Home game.
Maybe it does.
So if you go back, the first Wikipedia guy, if you scroll down, he was like, it's an early form of football that originated in the Middle Ages in Italy, where it's rarely played.
Is this where soccer began? Like back in the medieval ages?
Is it his story? Because that's like, it says like his story on Netflix. If you scroll down a bit more, the
I've
third
seen
link.
parts of this. They have
It
what
might
is
be
it, like
Home Game.
6-on-6, and they fight at the same time as playing
soccer, yeah, and like the guys on the front line when they go to kick off, like they just line each other up and start punching. It's,
Yeah,
this
play
it?
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
I've
it.
seen this.
but the one I've seen's a bit more. I think they're like the rep players, so it's a bit more strategic. It's
So violent.
Wow.
Jeepers. Oh, he's like,
he's just.
I would have to
he's
get
like,
it in the.
I want no part in that ball. That guy just loved it.
jeepers.
I feel like fighting sports has made this recurrence. It was almost like demonized.
Yeah.
yeah,
when I was growing
100%.
up, but now everyone, I don't know, maybe because everyone's so angry.
mean,
During COVID, everyone's like, "Yeah, bring back the violence."
Bring
You
back
know.
the-
Yeah.
Do you remember that the footy show, Bring Back the Biff?
Yeah,
that was-
like-
yeah,
that
oh,
was
Reg
the-
Reagan,
that was
the
the
man,
thing, yeah.
the best.
I mean, the UFC's done an amazing job to market it well as well. I mean, that's
Yeah.
been a massive part of it because I
Yeah.
feel like boxing, as much as boxing was the sport, you had Floyd Mayweather before that, you had Ali, all these people, but like nowadays it's like UFC is just everyone wants to be part of it. It's
Yeah.
the ultimate, like who wants to be the ultimate fighter? It's just-
Yeah.
What a business.
Yeah.
Like, when you
Because it's
think
bringing
about
in
that
different
business.
styles, different art forms,
Yeah.
different cultures with different backgrounds in martial arts, and then people can kind of explore that differently.
Like
Yeah,
we were talking
exactly.
about industries, we're actually, you see in the UFC now, like we have a lot of like wrestlers that are the champions. Like I think it's 60-70% of all champions right now are wrestling pedigree.
Wasn't it
And
jiu-jitsu?
It used to be jiu-jitsu, and then
Yeah.
there was striking back in the day. But now wrestlers are just so prolific that
Because
no one
wrestling
can do
starts on the
anything.
feet. That's why.
No,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu people struggle to get people to the ground now.
Yeah.
With, you know, how
Wrestling's
strong
got a lot
and
of
advanced they are.
takedowns.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see the waves in, especially MMA. Now wrestlers are killing it, and what's going to be next? It'll be
Yeah,
some
it'll
other
be like
kind of
something that's
pedigree.
something else that maybe like is good against wrestling and
Yeah.
yeah.
Like we're saying about apps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things
Same
come
thing.
in ebbs and flows. Well, guys, I guess, is there anything else that you wanted to shine a light on around what you're doing and do any shout outs in any way?
The big one we didn't touch on it all that much was the rebrand we did with you guys. Like
Yeah.
that was huge.
Game
And
changer.
Yesterday we went to an event. It was Rakuten Dealmaker Conference, and it was so weird for once to meet people and say where we're from, and they go, "Oh, we've actually seen you around."
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
it's because we actually now promote our brand everywhere, and we're pumping it on every single channel. So it's nice. It's nice to hear that. So it's definitely helped, and that was a huge pivotal moment. And I think me and him learned a lot about entrepreneurship and business from you all, and it was an excellent experience.
Thanks,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, it's been a blast working with you guys. You guys were very open to creativity, very open to exploring things. Not everyone's so, I guess, agile with exploring new things. Sometimes things can look a little scary
Yeah.
creatively.
Yeah.
But you guys really, you know, looked at our team's insights and ideas, and we had a lot of reasons behind things. And yeah, you guys gave us a lot of trust and a lot of freeway to kind of, you know, have fun with this project and enjoy it. So it was a blast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Glad you
Yeah.
enjoyed it too.
Thanks.
'cause it was
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
for us.
Yeah, we
I mean-
absolutely loved it. It was just such a cool experience to be able to work with you guys, and yeah, it was especially. I mean, the mascot was a massive part. We really believe the mascot is a huge part of our brand.
Yeah.
And
Big
you know,
time.
it was just seeing him there. We were like, oh, look at that. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
The
Could you
mascot's
imagine?
the first thing you see in the new app.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
It's right there, giving you your points and letting you get a reward straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to do anything with
Awesome.
animation?
we
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably more like that phase 3. 'Cause
Okay.
right now it really is about, we said this before, that rung on that ladder, making sure
Yeah.
you're doing the right one first
Yeah.
and not trying
Yeah.
to go all out. But yes,
I
there
can
will
see
be
him on television one
Well,
day.
that's the thing,
dancing
yeah,
or,
you know,
doing something cool.
billboards
Yeah.
as well, big LED screens
Hey.
running
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
and he
You have
gets
to
us
get a
excited.
giant suit. Like,
Yeah, well, that's what we
I've
wanted as well.
actually-
Again,
I've got a couple quotes.
we were like,
yeah, yeah.
well, they're not
Oh,
as
man.
cheap
See
as you
that
think as
going
What
on
well.
are we
TikTok.
talking about? Like 10 grand, something like that?
Yeah, 15-ish.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
that's-
custom
If you want
massive.
a really good one, and like,
Yeah.
you know, we're looking
Oh
into
my
it
gosh,
when
yeah.
it makes sense. But I think TikTok,
Yeah.
running around, interviewing people,
That's gonna
all
be
sorts
Doing
great.
like a
of-
ride
yeah.
along. It's like the mascot on the ride along. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's like,
That's so fun. Man, that's so. Yeah, I didn't realize there's such a big market in making mascots, Jared.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get into it.
Yeah, well, that's the first time I've heard of that.
A couple glue guns,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
fabric, you know.
any friends discounts? You know, you guys.
Yeah. Get a discount. Put a discount in my drive here while you're at it. We'll
Yeah.
claim it.
Yeah, maybe you could just find some kid from like Comic Con and be like, hey man, like how much, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
But yes,
knows
it
what's
was a bit
possible.
more expensive than you
Yeah. That's
anticipated,
crazy,
but,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, that's been a massive part. And like, we really believe in the brand. I think that's a big thing. You know, we were lucky. I mean, Blake hasn't even touched on this when it comes to the rebrand, and something, you know, I loved you for talking about a bit more is talk about, we had that chat with one of the founders of an NFT company that's done very well. And he talked about making sure you get that domain. And so like, yeah, we were chatting about different things.
That was where the name originally come from, bit of a random one. But Rick, the founder, we all sat in a room one day for 10 hours and just went, what is the new name going to be?
Yeah.
And we kind of got the idea on what we wanted it to be like. And then the biggest lesson we learned is don't pick a name that you like. Pick a name that has a domain that's available for scale and a domain that is available for SEO and has no competition. So
Yeah, that's such an important point because like
Yeah.
I saw Gary Vee talk about this on stage and he's like, what the fuck does McDonald's mean? It sounds like an old farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or what does Google mean? It's a
Yeah.
stupid name. He's like, what about Nike?
Yeah.
You know, we know Nike because of the ideology and the
Exactly.
imprint pop culture's had on us, but naming, this is what we're always trying to talk about with people is like, you build the name.
Yeah.
You pick
100%.
something and then it becomes something
100%.
else.
Exactly.
You know, like eBay didn't mean anything.
No.
It was like
Yeah.
the name of the river delta that it was like founded in or something
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, names take on meanings. It's kind of like the popular kid at high school.
Yep.
Maybe they
Yeah.
have a stupid name,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
they're cool.
Or some of the
Yeah,
popular
they're
kid, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh.
And I think now that there's so much more competition online, if you're picking a name, like you think back Nike, McDonald's,
Yeah.
a bit easier back then. Now that you've got so many businesses being started,
What's
and
available?
projects, don't go for what you like or sounds catchy. It needs to be scalable, and it needs to have the ability that you're ranking top of all search platforms. And we looked at Road Hero and Drive Hero.
Yeah.
I inquired to buy both of them, $500,000 USD. To buy it, I looked up my Drive Hero, $14. Bought it and bought every single other one too that's in every other country.
Yeah.
So
And the
there
SEO was great.
There was
Like-
no competition at all on Google.
Yeah.
Bang. That's
Yeah,
us.
we had a client that was called Cosmology. It was in the skincare space. And,
Yeah.
you know, incredible client of ours. But when we were looking it up together, we were like, when you type in Cosmology, what comes up? Like Neil deGrasse Tyson documentaries,
Yeah.
like NASA. And we're like, how much money is it going to cost to SEO this
Yeah,
thing?
Exactly.
And
That's
she's
the
like,
thing.
oh, I never thought of that. And we're
Yeah.
like, we need something available.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the biggest things with naming. Like when you just type in the name in Google, what are you fighting with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the fastest way to be like,
Yep.
this is going to be cheap or expensive.
Yeah,
Available, you know.
and that was the issue. So our old brand was K-Safe. I don't know if you guys know, but there's like a kitchen timer brand. So you put your food inside this container and you can set a timer so that way it stops you from eating it.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's K-Safe. So you
Yeah.
search K-Safe, like we were always finding them all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas like you search My Drive Hero, we're at the top. It's just
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Just
And
kind of
KSafe wasn't scalable.
Yeah.
We also only had the .com.au domain, which is
Yeah.
great if you want to go to the US or
Exactly.
anywhere else. But also, when you go to the US, they use miles. Not
Yeah, they're like, what does the
kilometers.
K stand
the
for?
K doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And also like, you know, the domain, the .com, it's almost like if you have the secondary domain, which
Yeah.
is the .au,
Yeah.
the .com.au, it's never going to perform as well as the person who has the .com.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
So you might as well make it easier on yourself and pick something available.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that was the best bit of advice.
Yeah.
And has been so great. And yeah, for $14 instead of
If you could just tell
$500,000.
all our other clients that.
Hey, I'll give them a
When
call.
we're
If
doing
you want
naming,
them,
we're like,
Yeah, yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
you know.
you can ask them to give me a buzz. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you find that the name's taken on meaning now that you've deployed it? Now
Yeah.
it's starting to cultivate in people's minds. They're building a perception about it. Do you
Yeah.
feel like it's starting to shift what it means?
It's
Yeah.
definitely. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, we didn't just choose it based on what was available. We still had what we
Something
wanted it
relevant.
to feel in
Yeah.
that hero. And now you see our push notifications, our EDMs, our social posts. A lot of the time we're using "Hey Heroes." And now
That's
everyone
cool.
knows
It's
Yeah.
become your own language.
Exactly.
LinkedIn's always
Yeah.
hashtag heroes. It's people now feeling that, oh, that's me.
Wow.
I'm the hero. It's not a user. It's not, just community. You're a hero. You're one
Yeah.
of the heroes.
Yeah. And that's so important because like Nike talk to athletes, right?
Yeah.
Starbucks talk to professionals. You guys are like, we're talking to heroes out there and anyone
Yeah.
could be one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like, there's everyday heroes as well as like your superheroes.
Yeah.
You could be an everyday hero or you can be a superhero. Like, how do you feel about like, and what do you need to feel like that? And what can
Yeah.
we provide you to help you power up?
And I guess it like a part of the X factor of your brand as well as it doesn't feel like it's an app.
Yeah.
It feels like, it has this duality where, it's a reward system. Cool, I'll use it that way. Maybe some people look at it that way. That's
exactly.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
they're
That's
fulfilling the
fine.
mission.
That's fine.
But overall, holistically, the messaging and the ideology and the kind of figurative concept behind it is like, hey, this is a cause for a good reason, and it's
Yeah.
an optimistic cause, and anyone can join in.
Exactly.
And may as well get rewarded while you're here. So it's
Exactly.
just ultra fun,
Yeah.
ultra optimistic.
Like we said
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
we don't mind if you don't want to be a hero.
Yeah.
But getting what you want out of it makes you a hero.
Yeah,
Whether
exactly.
you like it or not, you're a
Yeah.
hero to everyone else.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, guys, is there anything else you wanted to throw down on today?
No, check for the
Yeah,
new
I
app.
think-
8 weeks.
Yeah, 8 weeks
Hey.
to the
Maybe
new
you've got a
app,
better
8
app.
weeks.
You're going to love it.
was the
And then
question.
there's going to be upgrades every about 4 weeks after for a period of time. So it's just going to keep powering up.
Yeah.
And if anyone out there is tuning into this and wants to connect with you guys, how can they best reach out to you?
I mean, send us an email. I mean, Blake or Joshua.
LinkedIn,
Yeah.
put your mobile number in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to have chats with people on the phone. If you
Yeah.
want to have a chat about anything, if we can help you with anything, you want to be a community, ping us. Your
All
number,
right.
We'll give you a call.
Yeah.
We'll put the details in the caption below. So if anyone wants to reach out to these guys and connect in any way,
Yeah.
please do. Guys, thanks so much for being here today and
Thanks for
dropping in
having
and
us.
hanging out with
Thanks
us
for
and
having us, guys.
having
Guys.
a chat.
Yeah.
Honestly, guys, I got a lot out of it. And just like one of the highlights for me is just, how much you guys care about your mission and how much you're trying to genuinely just help people.
Yeah.
And realizing that money is a great way to do that.
Yep.
So just being conscious of that. So that's probably my biggest takeaway for today. But guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks,
Thanks,
for having us.
And I'll have to have you back again.
100%.
Hey.
Thanks, boys.
Love
Cool.
your work,
Appreciate it.
guys.
Catch you later.
Hey.
Hey, mate.